Так, всем здравствуйте, ребят. Надеюсь, меня слышно. Раз. Немножечко опоздал, потому что что-то у меня карту захвата компьютер не видел. Пришлось перезагружать оба компа. Так, сейчас отправлю уведомление, чатик. Пока они там болтают ни о чем, надо еще сделать себе чай успеть. Так, а корейская трансляция есть, интересно? Хотя в английской трансляции хотя бы что-то понятно, да? Ведь корейской будет вообще ничего не понятно. А вот у нас уже игра началась. А где там псина-то? Что-то... Собака, походу, еще не пришел, что ли, или что? Чепуха, блин. Привет, Шаман, здорово.
Actually they tend to get cleaned up in I think in I mean you think back to the Mill to Power game, that was the one that really did
Так, ну что, у нас сегодня 3 Эрангеля, 2 Мирамара, предпоследний день финала ПКС 7. Вот мы с вами видим таблицу. КОЭМы первые, НЛТ вторые, Полиш Пауэр третьи, Фила четвертые, пятые Вины, а та команда, за которую болею я, где играет Чепух, на 10-й строчке таблицы. Нави вообще на 14-й, между прочим. И мы ведь с вами видим Сосновку. А это солидная зона, между прочим. И очень удобная для команды Чепуха. Сегодня он ни хрена нормально не тренировался. Мы с ним буквально там часа 2 назад играли в дотку. Так что я не знаю, какой настрой. Я знаю, что Фейт тоже играл в дотку. В общем, они как-то, знаете, так халатно подходят к подготовке, на мой взгляд. Вообще. Не потеют, не стараются. Как будто не замотивированы, короче. Вот. Не очень хорошая зона для КУМов на самом деле. Тяжеловато им будет разыгрывать ее, я думаю. Но для Артикса, для фейзов, для Ву, для команды Эйс эта зона хорошая. Они как раз лутают выгодные для такой зоны кемпы. Надеюсь, что они займут что-то годное. И мы увидим их. Вот вчера они могли брать... Вчера они могли брать минимум 2 игры, эксы. Так, я за чаем. Мария Викторовна приглашает забирать чай. We are seeing Face Rab on over. They have been setting up bridge camps when given the opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same thing here last time, though. Last time they were here, they set up shop, but they forgot, I believe it was Killerkai, who was still in the garage compound. So this time I'm gonna go, you know what? Let's not even go down there, because the last time we had a really good chance to get a good game going. Didn't really happen. This time around, they opted to go a bit further inland.
I think as well with that snippet from the interview last night, Gustav being conscious of, you know, making mistakes in terms of calling.
Что у тебя за наушники? Посоветуешь ли ты взять вкладыши? Нет, братан, я советую брать полный размер. Ну, на мой взгляд, они куда лучше. А они про Доуза знают инцы? Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Ну, это типа ГГ для Доуза. Они его ищут, походу, да, они его ищут. Это 4 типа в одного, это очень плохо. Это очень сложно вытащить. Он сейчас нокнется. Все, он сгорит. Блин! За салфеткой пошел.
An awful lot from this range either, even with the mini. And you know what's really interesting? What Ince is effectively doing right now is what for a very, very long time teams would always do to Ince. And this is the first time I'm really seeing them kind of try and punish splits around them, because it would normally be the case that they're
Ой, ну, начало для КУМов действительно не пошло прям. Начало не очень хорошее. О, Псина пришел. Пёса поздун нахрен.
Шо, блядь?
Там Адоус уже сдох, а ты опаздываешь.
Я успел посмотреть, как он сдох.
Ну, для Чепуха вообще отличная зона, так что посмотрим. Я не думаю, что Ву будут сидеть и мод закрывать.
Пока я понял, что Сосновка...
Да.
Я понял.
Сосновка и Чепух лутают двенашки, плюс там заправка туда-сюда.
Там фейзы никакие не лутают?
Фейзы справа. Нет, фейзы справа.
А никто деревню не лутает?
Ву. Ву 4 типа широко прыгнули, в том числе деревню. Я и говорю, что я думаю, что Ву не будут мост закрывать, но кто их знает.
Уже с нами пиздец.
У меня наушники Hammerhead V2, если что, Razer Hammerhead V2.
Так, ну вообще тут выглядит как без шансов для Ву.
Я вообще не вижу, блин, я тут вебку не по фэншую поставил. Пойдет. Ну, знаешь, хоть какой-то файт Нави выиграли, блин. А то последнее время смотришь, как-то вот прям вообще печально они разыгрывают. Ну, Ву, это, конечно, печальный фейл, потому что они прыгнули очень хорошо лутались. Зона идеальная для их кемпа. И вот так вот потерять 2 игроков в самом начале, это очень плохо.
Ну, видимо, не законтролили, что так рано приедут.
Ну, Чепух уже в деревню дураков.
Чепух решил мост закрывать, серьезно?
Но они же дотеры, стратеги. О, мне кажется, Фейт ошибается. Фейт очень ошибается прям. Ну вот это вот сейчас, конечно, добавили они эти проходы по краям. Это вообще имба, конечно. Я думаю, сейчас Джим с Фейдом может съесть. Ой. Ой, фейзы. Ой, ликвиды. Ликвиды у нас на 6-й строчке, потеряли одного кента. Ну слушай, вот еще один неплохой шанс Артиксу нормально сыграть. Я не знаю, какой будет второй прок, но в первом проке они прям хорошо заехали. Жизнь нормально, братан, здорово.
Но для зоны Сосновки основное это переехать вчетвером на остров. Дальше уже без разницы, можно разыграть. Какая бы зона ни была.
Ну, как минимум, уже у 3 команд не получается по твоей страте, понимаешь?
Ну, потому что это сложно. Я и говорю, самое сложное это оказаться на мейн-острове вчетвером, в любой из позиций, чтобы начать разыгрывать дальше.
Ну, не знаю, исходя из предыдущего дня, для эксов несложно занять хорошие позиции в финальных кругах. Им сложно разыграть нормально, не через жопу, блин. Поэтому...
Разыграть не через жопу, основное, что требуется от команды, это просто дисциплина. И все. Что КМ, что НЛТ, типа, доказывают это. Просто играют дисциплинированно в любой зоне.
Ну, что значит дисциплинированно играть?
Ну, не делать лишней херни, не нужно, не пойти посмотреть кого-то куда-то, там, не подъехать.
Но если они в файте просирают, тут как бы...
Так ты видел, как они в файте просирают? Мы же обсуждали, что типа один пошел, другой стоит.
Ну да.
Договориться
Но это же
вместе.
уже не дисциплина, ведь
Да
это уже
почему
мискоммуникация.
Ты должен сказать, пойдем со мной. Вы обсудить, что вы делаете, и делать это. А не просто в соло решил, о, пойду пикну. Ой,
Ну,
блядь,
иногда,
поднимите.
зачастую нет времени обсуждать на самом деле. Типа, когда надо
В файтах,
быстро...
которые они проиграли, было время, типа, сказать, вот, челы идут. Причем было время минут 5, наверное, пока они 3 раза пытались на них зайти.
И типа я говорю, Арти, вы что, не считаете типов? Нет, говорит, мы считаем. Вот недавно чел у них появился, который типов считает. Стрельба экзампла последнее время, вот по крайней мере эти дни, что-то просела, на мой взгляд, прям сильно.
Просто у него нет возможности раскрыться для стрельбы.
Хера себе, он куда попал, блин, в пикселечек маленький, что ли?
А куда Артикс переехали? В Сосновку?
Они поехали куда-то левее, не знаю. Ну, правее, точнее.
А, там зона уже шифтанула.
Да.
Знаешь, куда они сейчас заедут?
Куда?
Черепашки.
Ну, неплохо.
Скорее всего.
Это хорошая позиция. Ну, тут тоже не так много вариантов, куда зону
Ну,
уйдет.
диспетчерка черепашки. Ну, диспетчерка, если занята, то они черепашки заберут. Если нет, то с плитом с черепашки диспу, наверное, заберут. Либо с заводом, с большим.
Ну, я бы завод вообще не контролил, типа.
К нему подсосаться на картах легко.
И подсосаться к нему, и его дефить намного сложнее, чем диспу. Типа там слишком много аутов у типов, как играть. Что-то вины развалились вообще. А тут футболистов, что ли? Коэма за синькой еще, МЦ за синькой.
Сам себя сбил.
Ну чё.
Ну блин, ну...
Зато в доту потренировались сегодня.
Убийцы не напрокали. Говорили, не играй на хантерах, нет, блин?
Первая игра, да, все верно.
А он что, забагался в заборе, или как он там сам себя убил? Тачка у него взорвалась, он под забором,
Тачку...
что произошло?
Может, тачку взорвали? А чё, его продают?
Вообще смог под забором рисабельно, не?
Конечно. А, ему сбили колесо, и он на лоу хп вышел из тачки, и колесом его долбануло на развороте тачки. Но я не знаю, почему они продают тиммейта в такой ситуации, я в шоке, честно. Чувак ехал на даче, вполне себе машину мог сохранить, встать у Артикса, лечь под забор, раскинуть смог, резнуть. Это просто какой-то трэш. Крейзи, я не понял, ты в фанатку превратилась, что ли, Вадим Евгеньевича? Ой, почему не Хае? Сейчас Али взорвут.
Его движущийся эта цель.
Но он тут очень плохо. Экзампл нокает. Еще Хае, вроде нормальная Хае. Нокается. Нет, не нокается. Нокается. Надо было подальше отойти. Но это тут его ошибка. Должен был отойти еще.
Да там сложно понять, когда по тебе стреляют, насколько хаёк.
Ну, он по нему не стреляли уже. Хоббит не видит! Ой, на реакции еле-еле, и то... Филферс далеко. Но коэмы рассыпались, конечно. Коэмы рассыпались, но энцов они тоже рассыпали. Хае должна быть хорошая. Нет. Да, вот это хорошая. Нет, аптеку Филферста ему надо разыгрывать. Он слышал шкафа, мне кажется. Не слышал, походу. Но ему нельзя медленно играть. Хорош.
Вообще, если он сейчас со всех аптек нас...
Да, поживет. Но я думаю, что у них уже с аптеками беда. А он вообще в другую сторону смотрит там. Молодок. Ой, спасибо за эту игру, спасибо, великолепно. Пойду напишу ему сегодня точно. Я ему даже видосик запишу. Helped out Polish power a bit there because that was really what Molotov was looking for. Initially heard the vehicles coming on the roadside and he looks to the east, not spotting the entirety of Polish power just above him. Арти, это было охуенно. Все. Ты видела, как он жим делает? Я прошу прощения, как ты видела, когда он жим делал? Ну чё, думаешь ты?
Я думаю, что Майка делает хуйню тем, что он еще внизу.
А он уже, мне кажется, и не подымется, поди-ка. Филфер сдох от зоны.
takes down both ends and question mark early on here. Mika is backfilling Batulins up the hillside. Now realizing
А
he
нет,
jumped over
смотри,
that, that's gonna cut
Батулин тиканул.
his, run for
Там
the
пока
hills.
рановато стоять.
Northern Lights is just trying to send a probe up in the form of Batulins. Loves a bit of high ground, he does.
А могу сейчас еще Нави могут выстегнуть нахер.
Is US.
Вышел, пошел.
Ну это
Just
зона
doing the
имба для
play dead
горы.
now. He's-
Да.
That's what it is. It's using the calf maximum cover, you know?
Pestilok is pretty far out of the zone as well, actually.
Yeah.
The timing's going to be
Oh,
awkward as well
that's
for him.
unfortunate.
А что, Ибица вылетел или что?
16 as well.
He's getting a lot of camera time.
3 шота ему в башку дали, он 0
It
эмоций.
is. It's as if people rotated early and couldn't find any better gun. EB taken down on the edge of blue. Best of luck trying to stay alive for as long as he can. We do have
Две
Blue
аптеки
sitting
осталось.
currently in 7th place
Mm-mm.
with a bit of a jump up to Overpeakers, but with both Overpeakers and
Но он
Overpeakers
доедет
now,
на...
to rack up some extra points, issue being
This is,
Но мне что-то кажется, его там выстегнут.
Pestilok's coming basically towards a 2-2
Pestilok.
Fellas
Yeah.
and Foot Esports on the south side of this road. Michael was even spotting this out nice and early.
and
Put
Rustin
some
might
shots
join in.
towards
Куда ты? Куда ты?
Pestilok even find it inside the zone. Yeah, he's just got in.
А, ну все, он теперь точно умер.
Yeah, in the meantime,
Минус
Green
Иван.
finds Uber,
минус
instantly
Эдди,
example
минус
of those
Диггери.
Respond finds two in return, face down to just one
Остался
alive.
один Густав с тапалкой.
Gustav trying to get the peek on over, doesn't manage to find it.
Типа, совсем все плохо по луту было или что?
Playing M16s, by the way.
Хз.
Ну, я так полагаю, тут-то они не продадут тиммейта?
Decent tag there. A second comes through onto Aaliyah, but his
Ой, хорошо, хорошо. Должен...
have taken a ton of damage, but actually
Ай.
fire coming in from
Алю должны тоже поднять.
for a send up on the high ground.
Но, возможно, машину потеряют.
Possibility where it's going to be difficult to find the flush anyway, but
Yeah.
it's definitely going to slow Na'Vi down. You have options pulling up to that compound just on the west
Но
side
они
of
еще
the
смогут
territory,
что-то
so
придумать, если сейчас на дорогу сыграют в граунды.
Slow them down, info gathered in regards to who's
Так
coming
что
in
не
from
страшно.
where, so worth it. For sure they don't have any immediate threats nearby.
Федор, это ты о чем вообще?
Or didn't, I should say, manage to get a first hit off of those.
Мы
They
вообще
rolled
турнирную
down
игру
to
смотрим.
30
Какие моды?
HP
Ты чё?
combined. Fortunately, bandages come through. They managed to get out of the car on the other side now.
На
Let's see
PUBG
where
нет
this one
никаких
goes.
модов.
Are we going full on up the hillside? Are we shifting?
Батулин все-таки подсосался к ним под гору.
We are, well, somewhat center once more.
it's actually where you look towards the
Ну
south.
слушай, выглядит как будто в теории зона может и вниз спуститься влево.
Send, we have the concerns
Ну,
about how
она
they
под
get
горой
down
там
from
прям на склонах бывает.
there. So it's
Ну да.
that's, contesting that
Ну в
hillside
любом
right now
случае
for
имба для
esports.
горы. Ну,
Да,
сидишь,
да, да, да. Только у
целая
них,
группа, всем стреляют.
только у них фарма 0.
Very low rotation actually.
Пока. Ну и это не выглядит, как будто они что-то нафармят.
Starting so central on Sosnovka.
Let's see. Austrian Force trying to
Но
make a
зато ты
run on up.
бесплатно
Yeah,
до
still
топ-3
solo
доживаешь.
player on the other side of the road. Trying to find the perfect time to make the crossing again. They are inside the
Ну, по
zone
факту,
here.
с учетом того еще, что турки сидят вдвоем, которые точно не пойдут их пушить, но любой, кто пойдет их пушить, они будут его спотать. Как бы тут вообще для них все в шоколаде.
Ты эту гору никогда в жизни никак не запушишь.
I think that's where
Там невозможно
we
ее
look
запушить.
towards how consistent Northern Lights
Как
can
только
be.
челы спотают, что
It's
кто-то
been
хочет
absolutely
подняться,
united
все,
between
ну
the two
типа
maps,
Unreal.
but, like I said, coming into a
У
day
тебя
where
даже
we have
тир
to
4
be
мусор
where
там не
we
пустит
do
наверх.
expect them to pick up the slack, right? Just due to
Нет, игроки такое не видят, конечно.
and this is the time to do it, obviously, on day 5.
No doubt. For these sports, need to get things going.
Хорошая хае под футболистами была, но...
A lot of utility damage coming through an Iro. Forced to crawl back down. Actually, Silas able to find the knock underneath the vehicle.
See, Iro, difficult for him to
Ну,
break
ПП
this.
должны видеть этот нок и пушить под это,
On top of it,
если они понимают, кто перед ними.
the wheel might just catch sight.
I was gonna say it might work in his favor, actually. Does he spot him on the backside of it? No, Silas just can't get the angle there. In the meantime, fellas taking the fight to Stardust. Only nail cup left.
Сейчас
alive.
Нейлап до старости
One
тут
kill
сядет
for Stardust
нахрен.
here, not the game
А
they
ну
would've
про него
wanted
хоть
if
знает.
Now finding damage on towards him, that should leave fellas with all the info they need.
Now, that
Футболисты разрисались.
is for esports, so the fact they didn't try and pressure that res at all. Now the utility coming over the top, I think they're really...
Айра в TSM с кем играл?
Chris applying pressure to Austrian Force as well. They were the threat coming in from behind, but
Я не помню.
to
прям.
be worried of ascent over the hilltop. Foot esports don't really have that same pressure onto them because
С Майклом
behind them.
вроде.
Cappy's position in this is actually key, though. Lyro's actually going to find the knock. Now we look towards Cappy to definitely get something done with that angle. And he does. He's going to find Lyro. Master the
Я помню, он один из турниров играл очень жестко, Айра, прям очень жестко. Добивай, добивай, братан! Туши лоха! Ясно. Минус 4 поинта для команды. Ну слушай, у LT есть опции и вниз, и с этими повоевать, но это, наверное, худшее, что могло случиться для NLT на самом деле. Чё, как думаешь, Нави направо будут крутить, или они будут Фила убивать?
Нави, я думаю, будут пробовать с эйсами драться. Им нет вариантов других.
С эйсами? С Филой, наверное.
Нет, с эйсами.
Нави?
А, Нави, я думал, НЛТ. Ну, Нави, да, Нави, походу, пойдут в граунды с Фэла драться. А вот НЛТ, я не знаю, они либо с эйсами будут пробовать драться, либо спускаться и Гарик убивать.
Ну вообще, если они убьют, если они смогут выбить эйсов, это победное. Йо, как Нави посыпались.
Это спорная ситуация насчет победной. Марсерек фул разрезался, у них имбаггера. Следующая зона фул на них.
Не, я думаю... Типа, на 6-й уходит от горы на 7-й?
Ну, обычно уходит на эту гору, вот где Марсерек.
Ну, обычно это где-то между, я помню. И очень редко туда на ту гору прям уходит. По крайней мере, на моей памяти. Вот Нави надо было сразу так делать, наверное.
Many other teams would have tried to make that push earlier, but now going, if we have to play this one slow, let's at least deal with the threat next to us before anything more happens.
Слушай, 9 фрагов, между прочим, у Нави. Уже неплохо.
Да, неплохая катка.
Единственное, конечно, это для него последнее, наверное. Конечное.
Technically, with everybody now between 5th and 11th going out, I mean this isn't going to be the big game, but they're actually within touching distance of actually contending here on the last day, which is a wild concept. And that's what's worrying, right? Because it has not been enough.
Лу чудом не нокнулся. В итоге NLT куда-то под Филу пошли вниз.
Я говорю, они типа понимают, что это Unreal.
А, ну они тут по скалам.
Again, still trying to fend off against the entirety of Northern Lights here. I think they're starting to realize that they're really the only ones doing this because unfortunately, 4%, no one else is really in a position where they're forced to fight. We lost so many players early on that there's just that much more room now to maneuver. Normally, if you're on the hilltop here, just apply a bit of pressure, you force fights to happen, and then you can get your third parties. But because it hasn't happened, they sit with 3 kills, despite the fact they've literally been shooting at everything available.
Yeah, and the fact that Polish Power cleaned up for esports so early on towards the south as well, kind of creates a little bit of a stalemate.
Ну вот, дефолтно уходит.
Actually, Circle pulling back towards the west is a tough one for Austrian Force Power.
ППшки по-прежнему могут играть, у них есть где.
Могут, но они фулл прострели под эйсов там, если эйсы законтролят, то им будет очень сложно. Вот сейчас они прям выходят в open. Смотрят ли, контролят ли это эйсы, походу нет. А эйсы, самый важный момент, они куда-то не туда смотрят. Хотя у них еще машины есть. Да, там они могут в рельеф перебраться.
В идеале, чтобы Фэллу понокали в спину этим Марселёк. Да, у НЛТ будет возможность пойти там третьими помочь.
Скалолазы там огрести наши могут, они там тоже дерьмово довольно-таки. Прыгают там что-то. Я ору.
reloaded or to get looted on up.
Yeah.
So should they come down to a close quarter fight in the end game because no.
Пинг ты никак не улучшишь, если только провайдера менять. Либо переезжать.
I mean, it could be expecting this to slow. If it does end towards fellas, like literally in between Rust and Michael, that would be the concern. Yes, some utility burn up here by Polish Power. Good and they're just still outside the circle. Still got a little more space to cover.
19 bullets for Mika, but when you're
Ну, поляки сдохли.
you have to take the shots. They're sitting down there with nowhere to go.
Мне кажется, они выбрали наихудшую позицию, нет?
Ну, следующий вот граунд надо.
Ну да.
Вообще могут разрезаться.
Ну, Фила, я думаю, их додушат.
And that might just be the saving grace for Polish Power.
8 bounces, not far enough though. Nok is able to stay alive. And again, I mean, okay, Mika does have quite a few bullets in 7.62, but last few left remaining for the mini.
Silas honestly bailing.
Турки тут с кайфом, блин, ползают. Бурый, кому я там такой красивый нужен-то? Ты чё? А, хорошо, хорошо. Мало НЛТ нормально проходят. При этом Фила полностью сдохла, потому что захотели поляков закрыть. И отпустили НЛТ. Но это странный мув на самом деле.
Gonna make a run on forward though. Cappy is inside the circle, and I think for now he's gonna be all right with no one really having a.
А, турки снизу сдохли, да? Да. Ну, выглядит как хорошая ДНЛТ. Хотя им сложно будет потом, потому что если эйсы сейчас спокойно спустятся, то...
НЛТ уже надо приподниматься.
Да, НЛТ надо право уже двигать. Да, тут просто Лу разобрался. Но они, кстати... Чё?
Крунио мог сейчас спалить Лу, он по опану до него бежал.
Ну вот Капи может поднасрать НЛТ очень сильно. Неплохая стрельба. Перфект один остался? А Деба тут
еще ползает.
Allowed to survive for the time being, but not really in a position to have a say in the conclusion of this game. You gotta assume Ascend are gonna look to clear him first. Actually, as I say that, Mika comes down to the other side of the circle here. Pains has got a Groza. This could be a freebie sitting for him.
I was just gonna say Ascend and Snakes. I mean, it's the art of getting picked off one by one. It's kind of been the name of Ascend's death, really, so far this grand finals. It would suck to see if they had the exact same.
Но это хорошо будет, если Капи занозит вон Киликаю, например. Киликай должен понимать, что там должен быть поляк. Да, ему дают расхитку. Пейнс еще... Ну боже, ну ты мог хоть нокнуть-то кого-нибудь, блин, алкаш. Он что, не увидел? Перфект сейчас плюс-поинт будет. Ну, на уверенности эйсы, конечно.
Absolutely, and this is the sort of thing, seeing them comfortably actually take control of an endgame from that early positioning. They came active at the right time of the game, in my eyes, when some of the teams were forced towards that high ground. Textbook play from Ascend in this game.
Ну вот и закончилась первая игра, чатик. Недолго мы с вами болели за Чепухантикса. Слишком быстро он откис.
No one had a chance. That was ridiculous. Ascend being able to take it all the way to the top of the radio tower and being able to punish people down below. Saga as well as Avenger joining me here to talk about this one. Ascend absolutely.
В общем, давайте минуток через 5 У нас с вами следующая игра. Давай, Бурый, вот ты там служи, а других не трогай давай, стримера, не трогай. Чё потом смотреть-то будешь? Араб к тебе скоро пойдет. Ну, правда, вряд ли вы с ним встретитесь. Ты вообще, в принципе, вряд ли с кем-то встретишься. С рыбами только если...
I mean, at this point, you need Binley Mega Chippy to be able to fit the mid pack. Considering how many people are there, you'd need a huge chippy. But the
Араб скоро уедет. Мне кажется, он ждет, когда его заберут.
I mean, we saw how much damage Chris had done there as well. They were shooting fish in a barrel. It was easy pickings for them.
It really was, and this time around, they actually managed to get onto that position without.
Вы чё там, запасы всплыли пополнить или чё, я не понял. А где ты уже? Ты чё, уже землю топчешь? Или у тебя отпуск?
On top of Mount Olympus, smiting the
That's
clubs
right.
down below.
The distance traveled 18 kilometers. That was up. That was vertical.
Vertical movement here.
Я не понял, куда ты там нахрен, у тебя... Блин, ладно, у тебя же контракт.
All of yesterday, so they're just 3 points off to kind of join that again. Northern Lights and Navi, of course, with.
И где вы базируетесь?
Unfortunately, it shifted away from them when it was important for them. They had to.
Первые 5 каток разминочные.
Yeah, very impressive stuff.
Это была неплохая, Сироп.
Who joined the 1K club?
Lovely indeed. And I think that whilst we look at these numbers as a whole, though, you brought up Polish Power, and I do want to mention them again here whilst we take a look at these. Because quite honestly, if it wasn't for Cappy here, Saga, I think they probably wouldn't have been able
happy.
To get... No, exactly.
Yeah, we really had a lot of our young player Pokemon battles this time around.
Oh, yes.
Scav versus Phil first earlier on. But no, Cappy was definitely the right choice in that situation.
Ребят, не забывайте лайк ставить.
And it was such a crucial one because there was no one else third partying in. Even with Ascend that high up with vision on just about everything in the zone, they actually had a little pocket of...
Ты в учебке в какой-нибудь? Или что ты там нафиг, я не понимаю. Ты типа в активных действиях не участвуешь? В тылу глубоком?
It was pretty crucial for Polish Power to get enough points that they were able to and have almost a better game one than they had a day yesterday.
And if it wasn't for them kind of having only one car and all the lack of utility that they had after having spent it, of course, they tried to smoke ahead of them.
Понедельник.
I would see them go a little bit deeper, maybe try to creep in under Phyllis's position to be in that low ground and then play upwards.
Ну ты отправь хоть селфи там в форме какой ты красивый.
It's Chris, our player focus for this one here. 1K clubber, 6 kills. The amount of damage that these guys will be able to put out from the very top is just insane. And it's such a nuisance, right, as well, because you're losing all your utility, you're having all your...
Телегу вон там скинь.
Stims, all this is being used.
Yeah, definitely so. There's a lot of metaphors going on. I really like your Pokemon one. I thoroughly appreciate that. You got your Charmander in Cappy, you've got Squirtle in Scav. I don't know why it'd be a water Pokemon, it just makes sense in my head. And then you've got Phil First, who'd be the Bulbasaur. Even though Bulbasaur's not as cool as Phil First, I think.
Yeah, true.
So, that is fair.
Similar hairstyle.
You know what I would like, though? I would really like to have all our young guns to be like some...
Слышь ты, Чепух, селфи скинь. Нафиг. А местоположение мне твое нахрен не нужно. Точно.
Oh, well, yeah, it does. But it'd be interesting to kind of ask them over kind of like their outlook on even the pro scene as a whole.
For sure.
Because they've been looking in for quite a while, I think is fair to say. All right, well, that is the game as we've had it as a whole here. So exciting stuff so far. Ascend able to get themselves a great victory on the board, I think is fair to say here, Saga. And beyond that, were there any other teams that you were looking at throughout this kind of cheeky military base ending?
I think we've already touched it, but Navi, again, we...
Ну и да, у тебя там столько детей дома ждет, ты там поаккуратнее нахрен.
Peak edge play style made sure that there was no threat on their back before they made the push onto the ridge line, and that was pretty crucial in them holding on as long as they were able to.
Well, Northern Lights is one of the other teams that was trying to garner themselves some decent points in this game. Let's hear from them going up against Natus Vincia.
I think that Navi is a balanced team. Sometimes they go super fast.
Что Батули наброс капец просто.
With the boat to Sosnovka Island.
And here is Navi trying for that cheeky rotation, as you can see here, but beyond all of that. I mean, the great thing about this edition that came in quite a while ago, Martin, is that it opens up opportunities to be able to move into military.
Yeah, you can also move with the cover of the big ferry, right? That's beautiful, taking a little bit of advantage of that. But still, having Batulin say this and also is a comment to where you have so much knowledge about the teams and what they usually do in different circles. So sometimes this is to be expected. And this is why we're seeing teams like NLTs, teams like some of these other guys do these bridge camps, do these situations where they're kind of gatekeeping them.
I'm going to be honest. I just think there was going to be something more to that clip.
Yeah.
It was
a little.
It was Northern Lights talking about Navi like he to take a boat, and they took a boat. Brilliant. Excellent quality stuff that we have here at the test for PCS 7.
Well, it just goes to show that, we know Batulin is a man that does his homework.
And took a boat.
Next time it's going to be, they take a car. And they're going to be like driving like for 2 kilometers down the road. He predicted it. He knew it all along.
Batulin's what a god of the game. Wow.
Sometimes they use guns.
They do that. Thank you, Richard Sims. All right, well, it's time to go to a short break here. And when we return, we are going to have... Oh, actually, there's actually something really interesting you want to stay tuned for this break. So, stay tuned. We'll see you in a few.
Welcome to round 2 of Drive and Survive PUBG Edition. But let's first take a look at what happened in the previous round. Oh, spike traps being laid out already.
Not sure exactly who that is, Face! They can change cars and throw spike traps at each other, but Tulin is running now.
He knocked himself, he jumped out too early. No, they drove out, and they lost tires to the spike traps, Toby. There's more spike traps in the middle of the road. Oh, he's seen them.
Squeezing their way forward. There you go.
Oh, yeah, finished.
Teams must drive from the start at point A and cross the finish line at point B, following only the route provided.
Between point A and point B, there will be required checkpoints that the teams must pass. Teams are allowed to take shortcuts, but this comes with a high risk as there are spike traps laid out on the roads.
And lastly, players are allowed to shoot at the wheels of other vehicles to make it harder for the other teams to cross the finish line. And now let's take a look at the track for the race.
We have 3 checkpoints. The first one is at school, the second one at J compound, the third one at gas station. Then you have to go through Yasnaya to the finish line.
Let's see, there is the shot fired. The race has come off to a start, and this time around it seems like it's Northern Lights who starts off first.
Straight into the spike trap, Toby. That's unfortunate. Navi going fast. Oh, they're spinning out. Facescan is too. There's so many spike traps everywhere. And Tropic's looking good, but no, they go straight into the spike trap as well, and they all have to swap vehicles just again now. Fantastic start of things again here. This is actually fast, Toby. He's going pretty fast downhill.
We call it drive and survive. This is more like drive and spike trap. It's all about avoiding them, but it really ain't too easy to be honest. Navi again though, this time around in first place, coming off to a pretty good start here.
Okay. NLT and Tropic fighting, and now Luca Rooks popping tires, making sure that NLT does not have any vehicles. They want to swap themselves. Facecam wants to swap too.
It is a little less chaotic when there are 4 teams instead of 8, no doubt about it. And everyone now, as I say that, I was gonna say in fresh cars, but nope, not quite the case in Tropic. Losing tires once more.
It's unfortunate. Going through now, they're the last team right on 4th place, but they have fresh tires. They could maybe with good speed just pass other guys. No, that's a good tire pop. Another one coming from Spike Tap. A lot of vehicles already. Shots are coming in, and I think they had a free choice of what gun they want. I think I can hear a revolver on Navi's side, getting very close. Damage is being put into Navi.
Close.
Oh, that's fantastic driving from FaZe Clan.
It is. They managed to spin them out as well. Now they continue going full speed forward. I think they still have all 4 tires on their car too. You can see Navi
firing towards them. Northern Lights now catching up to Na'Vi as well.
Oh, that's some cheeky spike trash right there on the white lines on the road, Toby. FaZe Clan trying to send it through. Still good on tires. Now they can spend all the bullets that they have on popping tires on the rest. Oh, there's a spike trap. They lost 2 tires. More tires are lost now. They're forced to change.
They have to. There's a car just on the other side, fortunately. But where is Na'Vi? Where are they? Tropic of running. We saw them in the picture down there. They're sprinting, but here comes Na'Vi. Full speed in from behind.
Can they catch up to FaZe Clan? FaZe Clan is getting through. It looks like they're going to be the first through the finish line right here at the ticket booth. Oh no! Tires popped!
Nope. Okay, so
Na'Vi
first place for FaZe.
Yeah, first place FaZe. NLT has 2 vehicles. That's
I was just
right?
gonna say Northern Lights looks like they've upped its scope for the 2-car strategy. Not that it's granted them a whole lot. They will get in 3rd, I would imagine, and in Tropic, I'm not even sure where they are anymore.
No, 2 cars for NLT doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. There's an observer that got eliminated there. I think that's a disqualification for NLT.
It's always dangerous to stand at the side of a race like that, and Observer 13 just showed us why.
All right, let's look at some statistics here. FaZe Clan and Na'Vi off to a great start here, Toby.
Yeah, I mean, Na'Vi, they got themselves off to a good start initially, but FaZe Clan managed to get around them. They would, though, in the end, come out victorious. FaZe Clan, that is FaZe Clan first, Na'Vi second. They will go through to the final round, and Northern Lights and Tropic, not quite so. They are out. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this round of Drive and Survive. Stay tuned for more Drive and Survive in the future as we head on over to Miramar for the final 2 teams to compete on motorcycles.
I was told there was only 2 episodes. There's more? Is there more?
Yeah, there's more.
Fantastic.
We're going to have the finals tomorrow. It's only 2 teams, but it's going to be pretty cool on Miramar.
This is what I live for. This is why, again.
We're going to have to expand the next PCS. We're going to do 32 teams.
I
It's going to be...
I want a full tournament, a full side tournament.
These guys
to the
have been
tournament.
keeping this secret for a while.
They
Yeah.
have. They
Yeah,
didn't even tell it. Genuinely, they didn't even tell us coming here, and then all of a sudden it just shows, and they're like, "Wow, look at this! It's really cool." And I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, that's it. Drive to Survive. Tomorrow we've got another episode for that. That's fantastic. Now, though, let's go back and focus on Erangel here. Saga, so far, we've had Ascend raining destruction from the skies, getting themselves a lovely win, and that'll bump them up the tables.
I'd say we'd have more than 1 send in the previous game.
Yeah, true.
Ents fully sent it at
did.
question mark right at the start, and we identify, you know, at the beginning of the show, question mark needs to be dislodged from probably not only first place, but top 2, top 3 for a couple of these teams, Ents included, to have a chance at qualifying. So it's really great to see that they're taking the initiative now before it gets too late, and really hunting them down while they have the chance.
The problem is that they still got 4 kills, and if they continue to get these, squeezing out these kills here and there, it'll be 20 points today and tomorrow, which will still probably end them up in first or second place. So already here, 179, still a lot of points ahead of 2 teams, where the other 2 teams that are chasing, they are still in the top 8. It doesn't matter. We're talking Fellas, we're talking Win or Die. These are the teams, even Ascend, that jumped into 7th place with this.
Yeah.
They need to be ahead, and a far ahead of question mark here, and they're still in a really good spot.
Definitely, though, question mark will be concerned going into these next games, because there is a potential flex out from some of these teams, especially those kind of bedfellows that they're dropping very close to. They're going to have to keep their eyes out, because when you have a target on your back quite like this, and especially, as you mentioned, Saga, the fact that people are trying to take that initiative, not like in the last 2 games or something like that, which we see sometimes, and it's like a bit scrappy and kind of pointless, but this is with quite a few games remaining. There is potential push and shove here that could occur.
And particularly with the way that the flight path worked, the zone worked, and how far away the engagement happened, where a doozy literally couldn't have been in a compound further away from the Phase 1 circle and still got 4-man crashed with vectors and shotguns. It just goes to show that there might not be anywhere that's safe on the map when you have a target of that size on your back, because the lead is so large and teams have to overcome it.
And all of these teams want to get to PGC, and that's why they will take these drastic moves. But now let's head on over to the commentators. Another drastic move here to bring in Toby and Hypot. It wasn't with that. It was quite smooth. To be fair. Not very drastic at all. Quite a chill move. How are you doing? You good?
Good. How are you feeling, Hypot?
Yeah, I mean,
Fantastic.
good for Ascend. 6 spots they've just jumped.
That is
which is wild.
as good as they get. We saw it there on the leaderboard. I mean, one more of these, and all of a sudden you're in top 3 territory.
Well, this is the sort of thing I was talking about actually with Na'Vi in the previous game. Actually, if they just have that one pop-off game, which they are capable of, that's still very difficult for me to say after the performance we've seen, but it's the potential is there, right? If Na'Vi have one of their games that they are famed for, then this could be the byproduct for them as well.
It sure could. It's far from over. 9 games still to play. This being one of them right here. 2 more games left to play on a wrangle of the day, then another 2 tomorrow. So we only have 4 in total. Math for you there left here in the grand finals of PCS 7. So if you're a wrangle fan, gotta get the good games in now.
Yeah, and just to note, obviously something that the desk touched heavily on, question mark, actually pulling down to the west coast.
Так, ну чё, чатик, у нас вторая игра началась. Где там кнопка вебку включить?
Early game scuffling, at least with Ents this time around, to see how they can get themselves set up in this game of a wrangle.
Ну, сейчас посмотрим. Может быть, еще одну сосновочку? Было бы интересно посмотреть. Единственное, конечно... Чепухарти слился слишком рано. Жопошник.
Who now have proven time and time again that they can fend off, like they can defend themselves when need be. It's pretty painful.
Салам алейкум. Там кто подошел? Всем здравствуйте. Вот чепухня, за которую мы болеем. Видали? Кейс какой у него мощный.
Ну давайте зону на Арктикс.
О! О! Заказы стримера работают. Найс.
Знаешь, сейчас чем закончится?
Чем? Тем же самым?
Олы сядут в перекресток, Арктикс поедут на фастичек в них и...
Думаешь, сядут? Мне кажется, не сядут.
Олы сядут вот этот в перекресток, где... Арктикс могут захотеть полететь в него.
Да нет, они в тот раз ехали, чекали все. Они типа не летели.
Ну сейчас они знают, что они первые тайминги.
Но это как раз вот этого перекрестка зона, блин. Этот перекресток чуть ниже. И иногда там в самом рельефе милитари.
Кукушку может на шифте.
Ну я и говорю, перекресток чуть ниже это кукушка.
Выше туда, на гору, налево.
Да, может, согласен. Но это слишком большой хардшифт, не знаю, не уверен. Может еще быть в районе сосиски снизу, где-то там, над ней. Ну, зато question марки сейчас не так далеко, и они на лодках, в принципе, наверное...
У тебя там челы едут.
А Фейт как вчера, так и сегодня. Он поди-ка думал, что это тиммейты его едут. Вот как ликвиды с починок едут быстрее, чем чепух?
Так ты видел, ликвиды едут, у них 30 пуль в обойме у каждого. Они взяли пушки и поехали.
Думаешь, это ошибка?
Ну, прям слишком перебор.
Почему развернулся феерист? Почему развернулся?
Может, не тачку заруинили?
Но как-то можно было тачку заруинить, лоси.
Вот как. Видел?
На заборе она там была или
на
что?
бортик зависли.
Ой. Просто, ну, алкаши. Просто команда алкашей, за которую я болею. Какого хера нахрен? Но они в кукуху, походу, прутся. Арти сейчас встанет над кукухой, будет чекать.
Да не, Арктик сейчас в ликвидов пизды получит.
Не, он там в ЛГ должен встать. Арти, ну не сдохни ради Христа, алкаш. О, неплохой размен. Ну, Арти еще живой, типа, в киллфиде не сверкал, все в порядке. Это будет кукуха и 2 однушки, я думаю, они заберут. Или кукуха и рельеф на сосновке. Тоже неплохо. Единственное, они у Кукухи все тачки потеряют. А в рельефе нет, поэтому думаю, что рельеф будут забирать. Вот Нави без тачек с лодки. О, молодости в доке. Бля. Его что, из тачки выбили? А куда они едут? А, они едут к Эцкризу. Сейчас будет.
Мы должны заметить, в окне стоит просто чел.
Не, они сейчас еще проиграют, дуля. Они сейчас будут фокусить Киликая? А, все, слышат. Они слышали того типа. Эцкриза.
Вообще ферист лутается.
There's only 2 left to find. Brexco and Mika are in vehicles headed this direction, but there's a lot of ground to cover.
Audible cues, of course, would have been given by Chris that there's still one downstairs. Kilikai trying to lob a nade on in. Any damage coming through? No, not quite the case. There's a shotgun on the ground, though. Chris has one now as well. And now, having bought some extra time, this allows for Brexco alongside Mika.
Добро пожаловать на топ-16.
Артикс отлично сыграно, просто супер. Все, поддерживаю Артикса. Каждый раз кругляши ему записываю.
Fate can do any damage before he falls himself into a different building at least, but it's going to require
Блин.
sloppy clearance from Ascend to be able to punish this.
Как вы думаете, Арти тильтует? Мне, я бы от таких игр тильтовал капец. О, забери, забери! Не, не заберет. Сейчас еще взорвут его.
Хаешка есть, накинь хаеш.
Да не, там нельзя стоять.
Так хаешку-то кинуть можно.
No lethal utility, I think, on the side of Fate either. So there you go. Carry him to safety. You know the damage has been done.
2 frags actually for him to work with, so might be able to pressure this res a little bit.
Будочки уже.
Got himself inside the shack now. Mika going to try and send a nade onto the balcony.
Ой-ой-ой.
Is that 30 damage off of being headshotted by the nade itself? Just dunk into his helmet there.
СР-ка и без дробика тут не задефаться никак.
Despite the damage coming through from Fate, Ascend focusing on staying alive over doing any over-aggressive pushes here. So
его сейчас еще это...
shotguns on the side of Fate right now either. Brexco, somewhat vulnerable position here. Shooting
Всё,
at there might be a
ГГ.
flash to follow. Down to low HP though, the info has been fed across as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that damage comes through at just
Не, ну...
the moment. Brexco will seal the deal. Ascend will find their 3rd kill. A decent start for them after winning the previous match. Like I said, they jumped 6 places on the leaderboard with that previous win, and actually now puts them even deeper into that cluster of teams, almost towards the top of that cluster if you disconnect fellas and win or die, really, and that's only a 13-point gap.
Блин, чай кончился аж так, захотелось за чаем сходить.
Trying to see what they can find. Another vehicle is what they get themselves. Oh wait, it actually was.
Ну ладно, он что, без броника был, что ли? Как он с одного выпал? Я что-то не понимаю, это была не голова.
Может, кто-нибудь до этого пострелял, я не видел хп его.
Фулл хп был. Это что-то максимально странное.
Может, батончик на урон был. Ну, легендарный коряк и батончик на урон. Еще и пассивка на...
Да. Нет слов.
Nothing more frustrating knowing you still have an entire run rate to drive down when the first bullet's a headshot. You go, well, I'm probably not going to survive this rotation. Happens. And, well, for starters, as you said, losing one early.
Текает, бедолага, отдает. О боже, ну... Вот как так можно, Скоп, скажи?
Ну, он чекал спину, откуда стреляют. Камень не видел впереди.
Шок. Блин, ну так обидно просто за чепуха. Ну он чё, не мог заехать нахрен в кукуху?
Сейчас еще зона на них туда наебала, на ховов. Ну нет, ладно.
Ну, это может быть еще хардшифт лево, не переживай.
Да не, это уже точно не левая зона. Сейчас куда-нибудь на НЛТ наши.
Чат, возобновился стрим? Нет? Капец, все сразу ушли. Что было, пока меня не было? Рассказывай.
Да, ничего особо интересного пока.
А я на чем прервался?
Не знаю, тебе виднее.
Ну, типа, ты что слышал последнее? Я про зону там рассказывал.
Я не помню. Про зону точно не слышал.
Понятно.
Not actually rewarded for it, but where the hell are fellas going? I was just gonna say, did they come back up the hillside to take the fight to Alia? I mean, maybe they saw from across that there was only one, maybe two up here now, though that's free. Look at the minimap though, ends as much as they were in Severny and kind of finished the game of their last game. Now they are down here early on. They're sitting just north of Navi, and with the way.
Что, зона на самолетах? Самолеты плюс дорога? Что-нибудь такое будет?
Знаю пока, я не посмотрел на зону.
How do you focus this one now? You still don't have all of the fellows players gone and away. You'd have to imagine that they just 180 and go straight back to fight ends, but look at the position they're in. It's not really a good spot.
Ох, эти инцы назят и назят, все.
I think that ship has sailed for ends now. Alia still kind of trailing behind the teammates, and again, of course, the circles did go somewhat further south, so Squeaky got to be careful here. Yeah. I was just gonna say, do they spot him? Squeaky does. Alia down early. Flush should come to follow. I was gonna say, because the reason Squeaky's got to be careful is actually Navi are wrapping to the east of Alia. It's almost kind of a.
Ну, походу, Алю потеряли 100% уже.
Backstab here, but Misa's off angle. Nuki now looking to slip a little further downhill. Means that Ents are able to ultimately solidify on this. Nuki actually finds a great angle uphill.
Мелман чудом не нокнулся, но сейчас их синька накрывать будет. Решили оставить Алю, да, Адоус в ноке. Знаешь, кого не спасти уже? Команду X.
Им надо было приписку секс сделать.
Друг с другом. Неплохой выстрел.
Ну, Адоус тут уже не выходят никак.
Думаешь? Ошибся ты, получается? Еп, нокнулся. Ну смотри, эксы бы отлично отыграли с этого кемпаунда, если бы... Ой, какой шок.
Они бы и отлично отыграли, и от кукушки тоже.
Да, 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 да.
Just about finding themselves inside the zone, but Kiryukai applying a little bit of pressure. Ascend actually still stacked up on the compound here.
Но они отлично отыгрывают в лобби сейчас. Как ты думаешь, какой дилей там?
25 минут вроде.
Northern Lights Navi.
That nade could be good.
Yep. Around the side it goes. Fights Millman. Dialed on in. Not too much to that one. Chris, in the meantime, Kildikai takes out Austrian Force. So finishing off in 15th here. Tough one for them. Polish Power trying to make wrap around. And this is all the teams trying to find somewhere to call their own in a circle with very limited playable terrain.
Luz actually just found a second with this engagement with Navi, and actually we jump back on board with it. Example just left now.
The remaining two players from Northern Lights trying to come up and defend here as well. Batulin's Perfectix trying to come in for backstab position. Example's got to be fast with this one if they want to make anything happen, because the more time is spent in this 1v1, slowly it's going to start, or I should say quickly at this point, it's going to be a 3v1.
Что-то NLT заигрываются тут на самом деле. За синькой. Оно им вот это надо было.
Tickling away at them now. Lou on the reposition though, but he's got to stick a first aid as well. Example just slowing down Northern Lights. You can see Perfectix totally disconnected from the
Визи Мэкси добил.
He said it's south as well.
Вот пацаны как раз сидят на кукухе.
Holding the angle, ready and waiting. Doesn't get the shot off. Actually does get the shot off, but doesn't hit anything.
Luz is actually medding in the open here, and I think Example might finish his...
Example еще аптек кучу набрал.
Lucky the wall is there. I thought Lou was just looking to stick that first aid as a desperation.
Я так понимаю, Лу не уходит отсюда. Батулин помер. Перфект тоже. Ну, типа заигрались, бессмысленно. О, аптеки где-то нашел. Ну, как бы тут без шансов.
Ну, это, кстати, для экзампла 5 аптек есть.
Да, он тоже не успел.
Кукушки даже...
Зачем из кукушки ликвиды уезжали? Мне непонятно.
Они... ну да. А куда футы едут?
В ЛГ, походу, что ли?
Still alive, all four in their cars pulling up to Polish Power spot. Cappy is here ready and waiting. It was Foot Esports against Polish Power.
Мстят за предыдущую полякам.
One goes down on each side. It's just Cappy now left alive trying to defend on his own.
Ну, футболисты сейчас тут закрепятся. А, их уже там начинают жрать. Эйсы вышли. Энсы там тоже, блин, за зоной тусили. Вот вообще ненужный нок от Скофилда. Вот вообще просто отвратительный нок.
Squeaky. Doing squeaky things from the back lines.
Chilling.
Actually, Iro gets confirmed there.
Ой, чепуханти, почему не в кукушку?
Если так-то 10 киллов уже. Они еще и выиграть спокойно могут.
Да, да, могут. Но... Типа тут...
убить и все, и весь контроль карты у них.
Ну тут просто несколько вариантов еще, куда зона может прокнуть, поэтому зависит от этого. Если прокнет на самолеты, то вряд ли выиграют. Если прокнет туда на ящики к ним, то да. Минус Лерон.
Не, это первое не взорвет.
Минус Лерон с первой. Сквики, давай уже, хорош там. Что-то он поторопился с аптекой, мне кажется. У него там их всего 6 было, ему надо уже руки в ноги и быстрее отвлекать. Ну тут еще фуллстак СТРов, блин. Ой, хорошо, хорошо! Ой, хорошо. Из Крис хорошо стреляет, блин.
Конечно, у него такой глушитель.
Ты таким похвастаться не можешь, да?
Ты видел его глушитель?
Я нет. Я чужие глушители не разглядываю.
I would only imagine for now. You need at least another knock on face slam before he goes for anything here. But then again, I mean, Insta need everything they can go in their way.
Сейчас Квики занозит фейзам.
Да он не будет.
Он под забор пошел. Идеально. Ну да, это эйцы забирают игру. У них с их стороны никого нет.
Навъебало.
Eventually force them this direction. Man actually getting picked up very early on. So now actually that's their forward man down and out. It's going to make it even harder for Schofield and Lazar to get anything else done here.
Yeah, Bestelok fortifying this position too. And remember, it was Bestelok who took down one of the starters players.
Не знаю, я бы на их месте, конечно, занимал позицию СТР уже. Они что-то там это пелятся. Как минимум один.
Видишь, в чем проблема? Если кто-то один заберет эту позицию, то могут на тачках просто приехать на дальнего, и ты ему не поможешь. И тогда уже ты в терпильной позиции окажешься. Типа заехать туда можно всегда. Вот,
ну там под... Оп, отличная хая. Но просто если пацаны из самолетов сейчас выезжают на тачках и заезжают туда, тоже что они делают? Потом им идти на них.
Ну, они же убили стеллеров там.
Им помогали Ву. У них был угол. А так бы они вряд ли разобрались.
Из самолетов, если будут одни, тоже не уедут.
Да уедут.
Да, если одни останутся на самолетах, они будут играть в ЛГ. Им незачем сразу ехать туда. А если у них команда в спине будет, от которой они будут пикать, то они точно так же с двух сторон и убьют их.
Как Ву кончились так быстро, я не понимаю. Еще из... Не знаю.
Вот видишь, ФЗ остались в ЛГ, они одни.
У них транспорта нету.
Да у них куча тачек там.
Не-не-не, вот они первую дачу сейчас увидели, забирают сразу, не?
Сейчас просто приехать, драйвбаем на лицо из кризу и катка.
Ну, у них нет инфы, где кто, по-моему.
Whenever he reveals his position, he better find the knock or two from that spot because he's not getting away from there easily.
I want to see Chris move up to the just some of that hard cover to the north of it, maybe try and pressure the cross, but
they're playing on foot. I mean, this is Chris running around in the open. You see Face Smart and bringing their cars into this because they know there's going to be little to no cover from where they're going to be playing from. Ascent very far split from one another, at least 100 meters in between all of them. So if one goes down here, you'd have to imagine no reses come through.
Yeah, problem being though, Gustav got himself into a...
What?
Фекс что, вылетел?
Видимо, да. Хорошая идея, кстати, въебал его добивать, учитывая, что я каску сломал.
Он типа его нокнул, чтобы в зону занести?
Да, да.
Shot. It's not an easy one, but you don't get a lot of chances with this. Of course, he wants Gustav to stand completely still, but it's a rare thing, if ever, that these players do that. You can see Fex sitting there waiting to get back on in. Hopefully for him, he will.
Следующая снова будет Эрангель.
At least a little more time to play with.
Sure what Ascender probably thought seeing that in the kill feed there.
Yeah, it's again, I mean, a case of the more they wait, the worst there.
Chris actually does have great sightlines on the cross. It's going to burn up a lot of the utility, but if he can get a little bit of damage, I think FaZe are going to send their utility a little deeper onto the road. Maybe even try and cross here in the vehicles. They've got to try and build up speed before getting out of this ditch, though.
Are they gonna hard commit onto Mika?
Фекс перезашел уже, да?
Yes, they're coming full speed forward towards Mika. One nade here for you. Mika could be all you need in order to take them down. Not gonna happen though. HC finds the first. Ghoststuff stays behind to make sure that there's a spot for them to play.
Ну да.
He's ready for it for the long haul, but this one 4v2, you'd have to imagine that it's going to go in the way of FaZe Clan.
Yeah, you got to say, and Gustav actually playing anchor here, a favorable shift for them at least to give Gustav.
Ну, Эйсов, тем не менее, 14 киллов, как бы, и топ-2.
But actually, this circle cuts out Chris and kill your guy. So the last minute, almost the pendulum swinging back towards FaZe Clan. I said, actually, now that man advantage doubled down on.
Again, I mean, surprised that Ascent doesn't do more when they know that they're fighting on the other side to try and claim real estate, knowing that there's so little available. Once again now, Chris, not opting to take the shot. He hasn't revealed his position yet, but we're reaching a point where there's only so much space left in the map, really, and you've got to take that shot eventually.
Kukai going to try and spot out Gustav. A couple of shots exchanged.
If he can wrap back behind, you'd have to imagine that Gustav spots it. If Chris can somehow backfill, that'd be insane.
Surely not.
Yeah, no.
That's a hell of a play if he pulls it off.
Yes.
I mean, that's the man for the job. But
And now he's seen.
Yeah, and Gustav connects it.
Held his fire.
Ну тут все. Они даже, может, сейчас на тачках поедут. Или на Верочку. Он все равно за зоной. А, нет, он в зоне. И вот теоретически здесь могли играть Эксы.
Практически у него уже 15-я волна, наверное, идет.
15-я волна? Так, ну что, чатик, ждем следующую игру. 5 минут.
Out of control, I can't believe what I just witnessed here from FaZe Clan. A great control situation, and also being able to identify that they needed to push onto the certain location where Micah was to be able to completely solidify them a spot later on in this game.
Honestly, and also being able to survive that kind of mayhem in the north when you have this many teams that are fighting for the same territory, being able to survive as 4. Also, Squeaky didn't manage to. Obviously, he's trying to get as many points out of a rough situation as possible. Maybe try to get a killer here or so. But he managed to survive quite a few teams. He could have potentially have kind of spoiled the game for FaZe and taken a few points out of that. Maybe taking a HC in a situation where he was caught off guard or something like that. But they managed to survive all 4. Managed to then push Ascent's position, take over and win. Insane situation for them. But then again, Ascent did split out. They did not stack anywhere. And that's kind of the rough situation when you want to try to get all the different angles, right?
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you need a knock, at least one knock when they push, because you have to do something in response to a well-calculated FaZe plan.
It has to really be, you know, we talk about utility, pre-nade has to be on point, or at the very least, the wide positions that you take, you have to be able to sort of cover the angle of approach, but FaZe Clan with really smart, well-placed smokes towards the end game just really cut off all of the angles that Ascend could have potentially had to enable them just to put 3 in a car and run down Mika, get themselves the position in the zone and work from there, really putting that numbers advantage to use, and selfless play from Gustav as well to just hold that anchoring position on the back line to make sure that there was no real threats coming through.
Looking ridiculous as well with the amount of kills coming in for him, and likewise, I mean, on the other side, technically, for Ascend, a really big kill count game coming in Avenger for a team that's not only now joined that middle pack and pretty heavily so, but is now rivaling those top positions.
Huge cadeau for them. 44 points in 2 games. It's crazy. If they continue that, they were going to be able to put themselves within striking distance. And right now, they are at the very top, in the upper echelons of this big mid-pack here. So it's really good to see that they're able to really light a fire on them. Again, back-to-back military, so we're expecting good things from them, right?
Yeah, definitely. Not exactly the easiest circles to kind of, I suppose, commit yourself to a certain location. Obviously, we know that those fights around the aeroplanes is annoying, and then coming off of the wall onto that little ridge that FaZe is on is annoying. Even, to a certain degree, playing on the south side is annoying. You're seeing is like Foot, for example, send it all the way across the circle to where Polish Power is, dislodging them, but there's not really many spots to play in these areas.
No. But this is why I like the fact that Ascend isn't really committing to bridge camps or any chaotic early game. It does allow teams like FaZe Clan to get across the bridges early on, and geez, we were talking about the well-placed smokes. It doesn't matter how well-placed they are when you just smoke the entire map, I suppose. But again, Ascend finding themselves in a very solid position down towards the southern side of the zone. But of course, that does open the door for FaZe Clan to cross over. The western bridge was a little more congested, a little more contested. Overpeakers bypassed that by sending it, a minute into the game. But all of the real success came from the eastern side, and Gustav,
8
well-deserved
kills.
player of the game.
Jeez,
And 1K club as well.
Back to back.
Efficient gaming right there. That is crazy. Really good to see. Obviously, Ascend still honorable mention here. It's Chris again with 6 kills after the last game. Amazing game from him here. Somebody obviously really happy to have him on his fantasy team here starting off today like this. But some of the shots that Gustav was able to lay out also in starters in the very early stages of the game here for phase 1, able to close out some of the points. And also some of this play here, the way that he's positioning himself for fighting is optimal to make sure that is there coming more players, and he's waiting even to knock this player. He's not shooting at it immediately. He's trying to see if he can maybe lure 1 or 2 players more in, and then obviously also taking our fellas.
Games like this are the kind of moments where you're reminded that Gustav, especially like or when he originally wasn't even on FaZe, you looked at this guy and you thought to yourself, this guy's going to be an absolute star eventually. 100%. And on FaZe, I think that was facilitated.
The most impressive thing is that he's also IGLing.
Yes.
Like, you're able to frag out like this, and you're IGLing your team is just so impressive.
Man brings in plenty of chicken nuggets to the table here with those 8 kills. Tons coming in for good old Gustav. You can buy himself 2 Happy Meals and be doubly happy here for Gustav to be able to get himself those kinds of results. And this phase is an important one, I think, Saga, because the middle pack was heavy. They were kind of in the middle of that middle pack, and now they're going to be able to ramp themselves up a little bit more.
Couldn't have been much more central to start off the day in 8th place, so a much needed win once again, and really over and over again we continue to say, like, you need to be pushing the top end, but Question Mark this time around had once again a bit of a struggle game. They avoided being ran down by Ents at the very beginning, dropping on the western coast, taking the bridge around the southern side, but hey, they ran into Foot Esports where they actually Odin and Western were doing a lot of work as a duo, while the opposite duo of the team were some distance away dealing with other threats. But it was enough to just hold them out into the blue zone, and Question Mark really wasn't able to get anything going this game. So every point that's picked up by the teams towards the top end, closing that gap.
Yeah, it's very important, as you say, with Question Mark not getting too much on the board. Teams like Ents getting quite a little bit on the board as well here, trying to push themselves up. And in fact, let's check in with the Woo talking about Ents from this game.
Ents is like the hard edge team who is always coming from the blue, or like they're always like wild rotating. So this is the team who gonna come last in the circle. So it's your like just a wide edge playstyle or something like that.
Checking on in as we continue with this game, and of course Ents in both of these games here, Avenger, having a really tall task ahead of them when it comes to trying to even get to the circle, never mind anything else.
Yeah, they were definitely hoping for the same northern circles that we saw in some of their angled games yesterday for their home turf, obviously, to beat Servany. But I will say this, they're actually playing some of these military games quite well. They're coming in so late that usually the bridges are not that occupied. But yeah, then again, hard games for them. I will say that they succeeded with obviously their first game, being able to take some points away, some players away from one of the most, or the most important opponent here, with it being Question Mark, of course, losing 1 player. Yeah, it was a great rotation. Didn't you see that? What do you think, James?
You know,
are you trolling me, Starladder? What's going on here?
It was pretty close to Quizzy saying, you know, and sometimes
takes cars.
Yeah, sometimes they get in car. It was pretty close.
We start things off.
Somebody takes a boat.
Sometimes Navi gets in a boat, and then we watch them get in a boat, and now we've watched, and sometimes gets in cars. They got in a car.
Yet to see a team in a glider, so if we can pull up a clip of that.
There's no bloody way. This is some top tier content we're showing you here at PCS 7, ladies and gentlemen. I'm loving it. All right, we're going to a break. Cut it. And when we come back, we have 1 more Erangel. We'll see you in a few.
balance adjustments to some attachments and firing from vehicles, some adjustments to the blue zone on Destined, and some decor to get you hyped for PGC. All this and more as we dive into the update 20.1 patch report. First up, we've been monitoring your feedback on the high advantages of shooting from a moving vehicle, and have implemented some recoil nerfs for both the driver and passengers. Drivers can also no longer steer while reloading weapons. In addition, several attachments are being adjusted for balance. 2 ARs can now attach high-powered scopes, and the O12 can fit a couple new scopes as well. So check out the patch notes for full details on the changes. Destin is also seeing some changes to the blue zone this update, with Phase 1 and 2 having larger circles. Phase 2 has increased damage, so don't let yourself lose track of time while looting the bigger zone. And speaking of blue zones, the Jammer Pack will now receive additional damage to its battery, and will only spawn as a world drop in Miramar, Karakin, Haven, and Destin. For map adjustments, visitors to Erangel can now plan their stay around watching the sunset, and sightseers on Erangel, Tego, and Miramar should start seeing PGC-related decorations in celebration of the upcoming World Championship. There's also a new ranked season starting, new skins to craft in the workshop, several changes to the wardrobe, and quality of life updates. So head over to the patch notes for the full details on everything. Update 20.1 is here, so strap in, lock and load, and drive off into the sunset. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Victory is not a moment. It's a journey made up of choices. The possibilities are endless. Why you fight, what strategies you use, who you have on your crew, and what colors they fly. All these choices end and begin with you.
Welcome back here to PCS 7 Europe Grand Finals, because we've had ourselves 2 amazing, ecstatic all-military games so far. Apparently Toby's asking for another military game. What he doesn't know is in the script it's actually a military game that's going to happen over on Miramar in that northeast side. That would be something. But anyway, joining me, Saga, as well as Avenger, to talk about these previous games. And you know what? The topic of the day for me right now really is Ascend. I mean, as much as FaZe just got themselves a win here, Avenger, Ascend's been blasting out of control.
Yeah, Ascend 44 points, FaZe Clan 24. Quite impressive. It's Chris leading the charts there for them, obviously doing extremely well. Yeah, and Ascend, they need to do something. They have had some rough games so far. It's actually already their best day just with 2 games done.
Yeah. That's insane. I mean, they're Giga Gaming right now. That is some extreme points.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they really have almost had a better day than our top team yesterday in just the 2 games so far. The 10 points shy, and you know, to start off the game, Chris again basically solo holding against Exalt in the compound, picking up a whole bunch of kills. And if it weren't for a disgusting bolty shot onto Molodok from Jeems on the driving car, which was very gross, and I'm glad we got a replay of that, then he might have just picked up the squad wipe in the very early stages. And it's a huge confidence boost from a team that has needed it.
Yeah, Mod?
Yeah, and on top of that, of course, now they are reinventing the rain dance for a military dance to see more military games to hope to get more points. Question mark still on top, but only 1 point last game, guys, and this is obviously crucial for the 11 teams that are currently not in the top 8, excluding question mark. Of course, we don't have 3 of the teams playing, Tropic one of them, so we have 11 teams chasing question mark down right now, hoping for them not to finish top 2, top 3, for them to take that last spot away from Heroic.
And we've been talking about a 30-point gap at the top. This time around, it's only 13 points. So
nice.
Dangerously close to getting their own cappy meal at the top, as Polish Power are just closing that gap very, very quickly. And even though they're not getting the big points in terms of the placements, the kills, but they're still getting up there consistently, which is good to see after a little bit of a speed bump in the road yesterday for Polish Power, back on form.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way. So it is nice to have them doing all right, considering that, well, I mean, even if they get a top spot anyway, they're going to be going to PGC. They already have quite a few points on the board here, do Polish Power.
Yeah, but it will require something like, Polish Power is guaranteed. Yeah. Like at this point, there's no way. They're looking amazing. We're looking at something like Fellas to have, they're 38 points or something behind question mark, so that's what they need to catch up in just 8 games, and it's 38 points. We're talking 4 more points on an average than question mark. That has been looking fantastic so far. It's going to be a huge task for Fellas, obviously. They only had 1 point more than them yesterday, so they're going to have to really up their averages here.
There's quite a few stumbling blocks, though, that are being put in their way. I think it was that we're able to kind of hold them out in this previous game, right? For a question mark.
Yeah, coming in on the eastern side, they really just held down full control on the vast majority of the eastern side of the zone for quite a long time. Didn't get drawn in too much into the chaos as a couple of the other teams did. Even Northern Lights just full sent it. Like, they lost their mind a little bit. They were trying to get rid of the last Na'Vi player in the compound, couldn't quite find the angle quickly enough, and the blue zone was just dealing too much damage. So they ran out of options, they ran out of time, just full sent it, and FaZe cleaned them up as they did with many others as well. But Foot avoided all of that, but eventually they couldn't get too much more going. Polish Power in the dip, but it was Ascend that had the angle again.
All right, to the commentators we go. Toby, no true svamps yet here in the lobby.
And I'm kind of loving it. I mean, other than the fact that we have Ascent and FaZe Rag and quite a few kills in the last game, I'm all for not having that one team that just massively separates themselves from the rest of the pack now. Teams starting to claw back at question mark, make it more of a competition. Yeah, and we come back to that same logic that it's kind of one game away from really breaking through some of the key placements of some of these teams now. So that cluster actually with the top slowing down, I don't want to say slowing down, maybe getting the foot off the gas. Well, yeah. I mean, the problem being is some of these teams at the top are still actually hitting their average points per game kind of target, right, to maintain. And that makes it even more difficult. You need to have some very top-heavy point accruements in terms of some of the teams that are looking to catch up. But I mean, actually, to say that Ascend gained 6 placements, FaZe gained 5 off that pre-0, so with the same point total overall, 24 for both game 1 and 2. It's been a good start. It's been the kind of start you want to get on day 1, but I mean, if you're gonna get it eventually, might as well get it.
Боже, я долбил в очко эти перерывы по 10 минут. Просто бред вонючий. На кой хер они нужны? Просто жесть. Аж что-нибудь поесть захотелось. Вино плюс сыр. За такую игру можно и бокал вина помянуть. Так, и чё? Куда доус летят? Чё, Сосновка номер 3?
Это Северка.
Сосновка. 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 Сосновка.
Хочу Северку.
Сосновка. 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 Не нашим, не вашим получается?
В смысле, я с Северкой угадал.
Не, ну Северка на краю, это не считается.
Ну, Северка в зоне, так что... Еще может нашифтить? Может.
Не может, да не. Когда ты последний раз видел хотя бы там 3 подряд хардшифта?
that's what's gonna have him mixed up there.
Такого уже 100 лет не было, мне кажется.
Да есть, ты просто внимания не обращаешь. Учитывая, как они зоны показывают.
And it's an M16, the deadliest gun in the early game. Yep. Headshot machine. And soon you'll be able to add an 8x on top of it as well, making it probably equally not so deadly.
Squeaky will the drive of shame back towards 70.
О, Арти что-то ответил. Походу уже сдох. О, боже! Арти говорит, мощно. Сейчас еще, походу, видос будет. Ну, боже!
Elsewhere, like I said, question mark did actually get themselves down towards quarry, so did avoid any pressure from Exalt coming.
Я за вином пошел.
Down towards Ferry Pier.
You mentioned them just before. Exalt down towards the south, as you said, Ferry Pier. It's been an interesting journey for them. Currently sitting in 11th place, but again, still, we've mentioned it again, but that one good game. One good game, and all of a sudden you find yourself maybe not top 5 with one good game, but at least top 7 or 8, which would then boat you further forward. And again, I mean, for some of those teams that at this point, fair. PGC, it's out of reach. We cannot take away, because that's kind of been our focus point, right? We cannot take away from the fact that there's also a massive prize pool for this tournament. So even if, sure, first place not going to get it, every one single placement you manage to get better in this tournament, that is a lot of money you're bringing home.
Absolutely. I love how there's kind of this dual objective, right? And there's actually teams opting for different placements based on what they're aiming for, right? But just to come back to that, I mean, a similar game to what Ascendant Phase have just had with a couple of other teams kind of not necessarily dropping donuts, but a low point, and that puts them up towards Phase, up towards the 136, 137 point mark. So that's how it is still doable for a lot of these teams down. And actually, even below that, you've got Foot Esports, actually tied for 112. Howl as well done at 109. You think actually, what, 15, dare I say, 20 kill win completely changes things up.
It's kind of rare, I feel like, especially in EMEA PUBG. I mean, okay, so for now, question mark still separated with a decent buffer down to second. But other than that, having so many teams still in the race, I feel like if we are able to slay the giant here, come into the final day, and things just somewhat evening out on the very top of the leaderboard, you're essentially looking at the better part of 9-8 teams that could go out and win it.
And the other thing is, as well, with question mark, have to start dealing with, you know, some of these curveballs in the early game. Think back to Northern Lights or Miramar, right, where some teams were looking to kind of mess with them, force them into an uncomfortable spot, or even just throw them off in terms of timings. And that's happened here on Orango as well, with overpeakers down towards Pachinki also. These are the sort of things that actually question mark will struggle to maintain that average point per game mark that they need to hit. It does open the door up for Northern Lights, Polish Power, and actually then even below that, where we then talk about that point cluster.
We'll see Stardust now pulling up on the east side of Yasnaya. Matt obviously, and we heard the vehicles coming in. We'll just quickly jump across the street back to the safety of his teammate Schofield. A little bit of suppressive fire coming in, but not really all that much going on, to be fair. Early on, it's quite a decent length rotation for most teams to get here, so wouldn't expect to see a lot of confrontations.
Well, this is a very slow circle one as well. Yeah, lots of teams are going to want to try and get, not necessarily early, but make sure they're on their way by about this point. I mean, Exalt and question mark, the only two yet to move. FaZe already making moves up from Milta, and yeah, just about everybody else. I mean, Fellas are probably going to be the last from George Pole over on the west side.
Так, Винчик плюс Закусон, смотрим на эти фейлы.
Такие не Винчик надо.
Скуп, не хочешь 50 грамм бахнуть?
У меня нечего. Все, бухло закончилось.
Так, ну чё, чат, помянем эту замечательную команду.
Я отбегу на минутку.
До магазина за бухлишком? Или проверишь, вдруг осталось? Так, Винчик плюс Закусон с кайфом. Прикольно, если бы челлендж осталось в пробке.
We'll see if he'll approve of my McLaren voicing. I don't think he will either. Usually he doesn't approve.
Ой, как не люблю вино.
It's fair enough. It's just that kind of a relationship that we've got. Question mark in the meantime, slow to rotate. Actually, the latest, really, coming in on this one. We saw them earlier, of course, down towards Prim. Pretty long distance to cover, and really, they shouldn't be in a hurry with this.
Navi, you're almost kind of shepherding FaZe back towards the coast. Almost parallel in rotation. Whether or not actually Navi are going to be able to get to a point where they can force them further.
За такую игру можно и выпить, конечно. Не, по вкусу-то нормально, это кинзмароли. Но, типа, вино не мой напиток. Знаете, я как люблю? Я люблю брать недорогое вино и с кока-колы его мешать. Имба просто. Кто пробовал, плюс чат. Просто delicious. Чем закусываешь? Сыром?
Right, but this is the sort of games that we've talked about. The potential is there for Ascend to achieve this level of play, right?
Yes.
If they can solidify this now, it's actually going to be fairly terrifying for anybody really. Well, I would have previously said anybody that sits above them. But
не понимаю прикол вина, что за 400, что за 10 тысяч. Я не ценитель, поэтому я вообще не знаю. Я понимаю, что сухое вино, говно, которое я пить никогда не буду, полусухое вино, плюс-минус могу попить, если белое, полусладкое, неплохой компотик. О, Лакза-то сейчас дотечет ведь? Ненавижу сухое. Нет, красное, полусладкое у меня. Кинзмароли.
Like I said, all the right indicators for me in terms of when you look for them to become active, and actually converting that position into a double-digit kills is a testament in itself. You know, double-digit kills don't just walk up on your doorstep, especially when you're playing Observatory. So, credit in that regard to Ascend for closing that one out.
And having those back-to-back as well, huge. We'll see, of course, as they come in last to the circle here, if they can make use of it. In the meantime, over to Polish Power we head. It's not been the easiest day for them here either, but now Mars
еще не сдохли?
in hand, we know he's
Пока нет.
very talented when it comes to finding damage and kills, and that gun is only going to help him do even more of it.
Definitely a helping hand.
Где они? Что-то они куда-то поехали, не туда. Хотя, нормально. Еще ангар в центре свободный.
Again, not many teams in a position to actually scout that out, other than potentially Odin and Iroh, maybe Navi as well.
I mean, we have 6 teams west of Nolin right now.
Нави неплохо сидят. На дороге, наверное, опять закончится плюс-минус.
Between like Nolin and Yasnaya or north side of the Yasnaya River, that is a
Ясная.
very tricky rotation to make. So as we can see,
Так, вижу приближение холлов и молодости в Киркате.
Не, они отрулили.
On that western center side of the circle, because teams just haven't had a chance to claim it. It's all out towards the east, and you can see all these teams that
Давай ставки, на какой зоне они сдохнут.
А, какое вино мешать? Любое вино, неважно. Красное обычно. Можешь хоть сухое, там Кока-Кола все сделает. Что еще раз? Ставки и какое что?
В какой зоне они сдохнут?
Ну, думаю, в этой еще поживут, в следующей сдохнут.
Ставлю на 4-ю зону.
Not a lot to do after that one. They tried to come up, didn't expect to see Foot Esports playing the north side of Stalpa that early on, but here they were, ready and waiting, and it's forced back down the hillside once more.
The Icarus effect for Squeaky.
Really?
Actually, almost acts as a... I was going to say, problem being, Ents have drifted so far north away from this. I'm curious of where their end goal is. One that's towards Kameski or some of these satellite compounds that FaZe are actually picking up now.
Yeah.
Actually managed to regroup fairly quickly to get this rotation altogether. Still nobody at those warehouses.
Yeah, that's...
James looks to scout that direction.
He's gonna go down there now, and they weren't shot at from that ridge line at all, kind of rotating in underneath the warehouse position. I think now they're gonna realize. I mean, that's just not a position you even dare to like full commit to it, because obviously.
Под игру Артикса вино залетает вообще только в путь.
I do like this play though. James has pulled up. He's almost tried to bait with the vehicle. He's now kind of sending off some warning shots. And actually, I think Mexi, Vard, and Clearball all had eyes set that direction just to see if anybody came out to greet James in the vehicle. So diligent on approach.
Под игру Артикса надо горилку пить.
I'm not sure actually if they're still going to commit to this 2-2.
И сальцем закусывать.
Nice bait to try and just double check, make sure that no one's there, because we have seen a couple of times overpeakers lose one because there's a sneaky snake in a situation they wouldn't maybe anticipate there to be one in, so might as well just play a little extra.
Я придумал игру «Шаман, как не нажраться».
Так.
Каждый килл команды Артикса пить. Если спать.
Especially with this circle popping to the east. Like I said, it's almost go out, see what you can find, which is why we see Squeaky kind of testing the waters towards Stalby. A couple of these teams have to make plays like that until, you know, one team within kind of a kilometer square opens up. You don't really have any solid information on anything coming in.
He does manage to find a free compound, at least he hopes it is. We can tell him that it does, but he doesn't know for sure.
Но если это не хедшифт вверх, то я не знаю, как они умрут. СТР еще буточку забирают. И в НЛТ в ясную заехали.
Отвратительное решение от СТРов. Они останутся без машины, зона явно уйдет с этой будки выше.
В итоге ясная это была полностью для них свободна, могли там еще сидеть.
Тогда и потом куда хотят приехать на машинах на живых.
I was going to say, it was going to be Michael Rustamar, though. Sounded like a quick two-tap onto Gedrox.
He has been playing phenomenally this grand final so far. So much damage coming through from him. We'll see now Extends trying to... Is he backing off from this? We've already seen Goose in the vehicle trying to leave layers. Not really in position to help out a whole lot either. Does think better of it, though. Comes back up with the top, wanting to make sure that... Is anyone pushing Gedrox or not? Is he trying to get the vehicle to go for the rest here? That's
surely not.
That'd be very bold.
I mean, I almost hope not. Sorry, Gedrox.
In the meantime, aren't hearing the vehicles from Ents.
Ну вот, походу.
Prevent any entry. I mean, right now for Art, unfortunately for him, he has to inside the circle, and when he's halfway like that, there's just nothing you can do.
Rotation here had to commit to. I didn't actually see in the previous circle what Exalt's setup was. The other three members across to the compound in the west. It's very, very strange.
You got the rest?
Yeah, wow.
Yep. Gedrox back up alive. Layers up there to pick him up. Extends.
Ой, Арти.
That allows for win or die to get back up to 4.
НЛТ неплохо сидят. Собчак тоже хоть куда сыграть потом могут.
Ну да.
At least Batulin's disconnected towards the west side here, just holding on to the bait, making sure there's nothing going to be wrapping in behind them.
Ой, Арти. Надо ему написать, Go Dota заебал. Да забей, типа.
Go комментить.
Scav actually only finding the one, the second actually comes through onto Misa, but Exalt more pressure here from Ents. It's just Fate and Molodok left.
Ты понимаешь, да, что эксы энсов не вывозят?
Yeah, Fate actually catching Molodok there. So back-to-back team knocks here in this engagement.
Ой.
What they have left. There's only two now.
Ты выиграл с третьей зоной, получается. Даже до четвертой не пожил. Чепу.
Это шок вообще. Да НЛТ до сих пор сидят с кайфом. Как думаешь, что будут делать коэмы?
Ну, есть вероятность того, что уедут влево в ясную.
Problem being at this point, anybody coming down from Stauber, let's kind of deal with each other. They can't really mount an attack on that compound. So,
ой-ой-ой, Васку. 5 лет в пабг играю, говорит.
Let go of an opportunity like that when he can get a chance to turn things around, able to get the double headshot confirmed, healed on up now, and now he's going to be able to make the push forward as well. Takes two, peeks forward, doesn't see any immediate threats from.
Боже, Нуки в чисто поле врезался в дерево, его выбили из тачки. А шкаф сейчас приедет, кинул ки прям в хату. Ой. Polish Power, все. Они все поляки? Все 4 поляка?
Не, Марселек... А, в смысле команде? Да. Но этот, как его, Крунев наполовину русский.
Ник здесь сдох. На что он надеялся, я не понимаю. Надо было вниз бежать. Побежал бы, успел бы. А, ну там низу контролят, понятно. Так, что-то винчик как-то хорошо пошел, чат. Слишком классная игра от Артикса. Ой.
Time now, Navi kind of cleaning up on the north side here, not wanting to allow anyone to come on through. Brexco goes down. Fex actually going to be the one to find the kill in a set. Now 3 in a car trying to find something off the backfield of that one. Chris instantly falls out of the vehicle. Uber does get the flush on through onto Iro as well. So casualties kind of coming through for all the teams out towards the east.
Ву подсдали очень сильно.
Еще минус.
Хера себе. Его еще сейчас хер убьют, блин. Коэмы фармят.
Goes down in the blaze of glory here in the final one as well as Rustin man now pushes forward. One more down for Austrian, falls 2 down, make that the third. Pains falls 2, and that is
Ила поднажали.
dealt with by Fellas.
У КМов еще турки сзади в спине. Турки чё, к СТРам? Да, это ошибка, куда они там? КМов убивать? Артикс местный бездарь? Ну, с учетом того, что мы сидим здесь и смотрим, а он играет, сам подумай, кто из нас бездарь, а кто молодец. Но выглядит он как бездарь, конечно.
Players from Navi, and somehow Uber gets to live with the scare through that one. Only one tag coming through. Clearbat's going to confirm that. He's got to give that to Odin in that scenario versus the mini.
А Вестон это девушка или это парень?
Парень.
So the rest of the esports should be able to connect this. Yeah, the spray is good. We'll be able to get the switch out as well. It's example to seal the deal.
Ты уверен?
5 kills on the board. Pretty early on, 32 players left to deal with.
А как он себя идентифицирует?
Как шкет 18-летний.
Нави, дай. Турки поехали вверх. Вот они так боятся драться, что ли, или что? То поехали в какую-то жопу?
Нет, просто они глупые и не знают, куда им ехать, когда перед ними чело.
Schofield actually, I don't think saving him is Uber's reload. Visible to everyone from this angle. Really has to try to kind of.
Тапок, ну не прям 99,9, конечно, тут ты загнул.
Question mark. Being attacked by Howl. Fortunately for them, Northern Lights further down the ridge line. A little bit of help coming through, and actually it's going to be Perfectix to find the kill onto Matt, so despite the nades coming through, Question mark able to stay alive.
Perfectix has so much space to work with here. As I say that, 80 going to catch him with a headshot. And Batulin's going to be tasked with finding that res. Gonna slow things down for Northern Lights getting aggressive down on the south side. And actually, Hobbit's a little curious now of exactly where that knock comes through. You can see on the map, he's desperately looking for a sight line. Lou's going to force him off that angle potentially.
Вниз?
See the shots going through. Actually, as I was saying, the previous
Никогда такой зоны не было.
solidifying their position. Now actually it swings back towards Northern Lights.
Exactly. Overpeak is not really able to utilize the look down towards the south before they know for a fact that the north side is clear. And now that they know, now they could start looking down, but they have face here, they have fellas here. They have to play this so careful not to
Интересно, что Дос будет делать.
so to speak, on everything.
Им куда-то ехать надо.
Northern Lights playing full control.
Они поедут под винов, наверное.
For anyone to push in from the east.
Просто у них аутов особо нету.
Exactly how some of these teams over here are going to deal with this. Uber, well, a consolation knock, but
Вот чё вот он им назил из-за зоны?
They'd have to assume, unless the face actively goes down to try and do something off of it. Mexi looks over the top. Gustav is right down below him. Of course, unknown to him, you'd have to imagine he's been sitting here for a little while now. Not making a whole lot.
Они как раз, когда будут подъезжать, там на ней верх будет занят, возможно.
I mean, OPs have to come off this hillside. If Gustav stays hit for long enough and Vex and 80 can continue to apply this pressure, might just allow for Gustav to open up once they come nearby.
Curious to see actually earlier on, with kind of seeing that domino effect back in play here with Win or Die still remaining as 3-win. I think Vard found an opener and OPs just couldn't pressure it enough because they were split across the compound, trying to hold down several different fronts.
Dante knocked, that's from the west side as well. That's so inconvenient when they're trying to set up a push towards Faceland, then to have Dante getting taken
Не спеша они двигаются.
all the way down towards the south. Need to commit to this res fast. You can see a Doozy.
Ну-ка, мы уже 6 фрагов сделали, неплохо. Это хае была?
Нет, он смог им накинул, чтобы они проще резались.
Able to 180 on that one, was in the middle of healing on up, but able to turn around, finds one. Will he find the second? Yes, he will. Almost finds the first, but Dante able to.
Он что, остается, чтобы нокнуться за зоной? Зачем?
The whole time that happens, Overpeak is actually opt to hop in a vehicle and try and get ahead of the curve here. Gedrox has been knocked. His question mark is still present on the east side. Going to try and find their way back behind Overpeakers now. Win or Die just feeling so much pressure here.
Win or Die, 5 alive. Send it.
Вдвоем остались коэмы.
3 kills this time round at least.
Там над ними еще ликвиды, так что думаю, что это ГГ.
Not too shabby.
First, a little offbeat here as well. Dante has to kind of give this up. Nothing he can.
Данте тут можно похолодить.
A guaranteed top 4 for question mark, and this is the sort of thing, right? Maintaining that average throughout these games.
They don't need 15 kill wins at this point. They just, as you said, as long as the buffer is kept, as long as you make the jump for first place, if not impossible, and close to it, then that's really all.
Ну, вообще у него есть возможность пережить ликвида.
Да.
It's been all but quiet over on the west side early on, but lately they have, because they cleared out phase 3, phase 4.
Вот и называется Хавлы. На кой хер вы уехали? Или СТР-ли? Из починок. Ой, из ясной, господи, все. Чатик на ютубчике, не забываем лайк поставить. И еще там это, ссылочка на телегу. Кто хочет следить за стримером, подписывайтесь на телегу. Хорошо.
First obstacle removed here. Northern Lights now getting curious on how much freedom fellas really have on the west side here.
Trying to push up the hillside. First one to fall is Rustin Mam. realizing that fellas were maintaining their focus northward.
Плюс поинт еще для Данте.
Down clip out to blue. Dante found by James. Rustin man now flushed as we find ourselves in a 3v4v1 with the numbers in the favor of Northern Lights, who are well aware that.
Мне кажется, Данте надо за зоной помирать.
Actually, it's Miracle to find it. The tag comes through from Loot, forces Dante onto the wrong side of the mock. Actually, Perfectix going to find Miracle here. That could be the green light.
Again, quiet game. Northern Lights decided just
Но они под ног подъезжать должны. Перфект только.
Да, им не обязательно. Они зону
да, зона, да. Но они просто хорошо там сидят вверху. Закрытую.
The nade primed actually sent over the top. It's going to land pretty well. There's a ton of damage onto Miracle.
Идеальные две хая.
Absolutely guaranteed for Perfectix.
Cannot really line them up any
И этого
better.
убьет сейчас.
Missing a few around the side. He comes fortunately and able to take down Perfectix. Has to commit to the heal here, but now 1v3. I feel like Perfectix has done all the damage needed in order to seal this one for Northern Lights. Takes a tricky position for him to be in. Lou right now, somewhat angled on his own here. You can see Miracle jump in for info. The Hail Mary is sent over the ridge line, but not gonna happen. Northern Lights again. Quiet game for them, 6 kills, but they'll take the 16 points here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to sit back and watch the circle play out itself. But Northern Lights.
Так, ну что, у нас следующий Мирамар, чат?
Great crowd control over towards the west and east side.
Там-то Артикс покажет.
Там-то Артикс покажет, да.
They know that the reposition on the underside of the rock, and they can apply more pressure.
Плюс чат, кто надеется, что Артикс покажет.
To face clan. They forced them, they kept them up the hillside, forced teams to fight one another. When they came back, it was troublesome for them to say the least. Back to the desk.
Definitely was, as fellas look up into the sky. Is that Aurora Borealis coming? No, it's just nades from Perfectix and absolutely obliterate. Yeah, there's Studio Lines. Just ignore that for now. We've got ourselves Northern Lights back on the road again here with a victory on the board and a strong one at that. And not many teams contesting them down towards the south here, Avenger, but they were able to play it nicely against teams that technically had high ground advantage, but not quite.
I'm quite surprised we only had
Никто не верит в Артикса. Здорово, Эник.
They had a lot of presence, they're peacocking a little bit, making sure that they had a lot of space, they're keeping a lot of angles, but there are so many teams fighting.
Один я верю в Артикса, блин.
Not that many places to kind of accommodate the amount of teams. That's also we saw that amount of carnage going on in the mid game, and luckily, fellas doing super well here. Unfortunately for everyone else, question mark doing really well again. Amount of kills, they're doing super much damage to everyone moving in, and yeah, it's looking very likely that they're going to be able to take this home if they continue this, of course.
Definitely, of course, there is still another day and a little bit here to go, but with Northern Lights being able to now yoink this away from the rest of the lobby here, Saga, this means they're going to push themselves up to second, and if there's any team that says, you're not going to win a tournament, it's normally Northern Lights that comes along and takes it at the very second.
They are definitely a team that has that essence, that aura about them of a championship team, and they really made a very early move this time around. They sent Lou probably 3-4 minutes into the game to take hold of that position just north of the Yasnaya Pond on those cliffs, and when that phase 3 shift came back towards the south and everyone else had already maybe been a little bit vacated up towards the northern side, maybe slightly even baited, thinking, you know, the likes of Ents as they wrapped all the way north of Stalber, maybe expecting a little bit of a more northern favor in the zone. Northern Lights just took full advantage of it. The entire city was theirs to control, and all they had to do was sit back and wait for the opportunity to present itself and to make the push.
It's not the biggest win for Northern Lights, but it is a win indeed. Fellas and question mark are the ones that are bearing down upon them here when it comes to the points earned Avenger, and we've already kind of mentioned both in essence, but still, FaZe, Overpeakers, etc., trying to bump their way up slowly from this game.
Yeah, fix on Scaff on top here. I like that. That is.
I bet you like that.
Happy times for my fantasy team here with 2 of those guys there. Obviously doing super well. Fex in there. And in general, I will say this though, even though looks like Fex is going to be the focus player, I will say this though. This is the sort of circle that I was really hoping for. We've not really had this. Obviously it's Northern. It's kind of up there, but in between Stalby and Sny, it's usually quite some curveballs in terms of where the teams go and where the kind of players around. We saw, you know, FaZe Clan, Na'Vi, these teams were super far out east, preparing for that kind of worst possible zone. But then it kind of came back, and a lot of teams have to move in. Also, you know, sending it above in a question mark and just exploding everywhere. There are some kind of good action moments too. but it was definitely the high ground heroes that were controlling the vast majority of this.
Definitely so, as we take a look at some of the final moments from this game as well. Vex will be the good old focus. Ultimately, when you see how they're playing things out here, Saga, FaZe is ever present in quite a few of these late game scenarios now, and that is a little bit problematic, I think, for some of these teams.
Now, this is an interesting one because FaZe, alongside Vex, did actually drop out a little bit before we got to the full end game, but they were so active and so present. And just considering the fact that they made a bit of a send up from the northern side of the hilltop into a position where, realistically, if you look at the position that they were playing, sort of lurking under the cliffs and the warehouse compound above it that was fully occupied by overpeakers, and they were peeking over the top, you wouldn't have thought that they would have been able to take so many third-party shots and be so proactive, but they just had it. Every time overpeakers looked to try and make a peek up over the top, 8C was there. You had the 3X on the org just bearing down, constantly checking behind them. So anytime overpeakers attempted to peek over, FaZe just sat them straight back down and got to free farming.
And also, fellas, you know, they managed to kind of maintain and contain overpeakers in there. They kind of forced them in to try to go in on the side of FaZe Clan. Instead, I was kind of hoping for overpeakers to spend all this time, try to backfill and try to get in behind fellas to take that area for them. But Tixu played it extremely well. He was playing kind of the anchor position on the far western side to contain overpeakers, to make sure they didn't do that kind of expected push, try to backfill into the western side of the circle.
Yeah, definitely so, definitely. And if you guys at home want to join in on all the fun, all the action, you can get yourself some cool merch as well to represent PCS7 as we continue things on emea.merch.pubg.com and get the really fast mug that's zooming out of control. That's right, here for PCS7. What we're going to do now is, I believe, we're going to go to a break, and when we return, we have more on the way. It will be Miramar. Before that, though, we are going to be having an interview as well with the Censor. Stay tuned. A lot more to come.
Hello everyone, I'm Paige. I play for Team Heroic.
Hey guys, I'm Mexi and I'm playing for Overpeakers.
Herkese merhabalar. Benim adım Odun Mavisi ve Foot Esports takımındayım.
Today we are playing What Happened Next.
Önemli bir anın ilk bölümünü izleyeceğiz ve sonrasını tahmin edeceğim.
Let's get started.
I want a liquid utility situation. That's key here.
We need to get those nades down into Hal ASAP so that they have that space to work with. Bard and Mexi on one side.
I'm gonna answer B, Squeaky Dice by Molotov.
I was playing this game, so I should remember it, but I don't really remember what happened to Squeaky, so I'm just gonna go with the A again. So Squeaky dies in the blue zone, denying the enemies 1 point.
B şıkkını seçiyorum. Squeaky Molotov ile sağ dışı kalır.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he's gonna just get mollied inside the dip. I don't know what else can I say. Nice kicks by Squeaky to get 2 knocks towards the AQ. Definitely well played, and kind of lucky as well. Luck was on Squeaky's side when he was left down to 1 HP, so good for him.
Entropic now have to try and recover from this situation as Paige again looking to take control of the high ground here. Lookarooks, no chance of the res coming through. Entropic are going to be 3 up in the vehicle. They've got to just make a mad send for it.
Heroic going for Entropic, hammer and tongs here. They opt to sacrifice Lucarooks for the opportunity to get somewhere close to the middle of the circle.
I have no idea of this, so I'm just gonna go and guess C. Entropic barely makes it to the compound to flat tires.
I'm gonna say A. Entropic gets a one-way ticket to the lobby.
Ben A şıkkını seçiyorum. Entropik lobiye tek yön gidişli bilet alır.
I guess that was one of those moments where EIQ felt like they had nothing to do, bad zone, only 1 car, so they was just trying to send it somewhere, and then there's everyone else on the lobby shooting them, so they're just pretty much dead.
Doesn't get down to Salty in time. Wouldn't realistically have had time anyway. Oh. Flashbang into the stairwell just in time. A second later, and he would have been able to come up and get the kill off onto Squeaky.
A şıkkını seçiyorum. Squeaky canından aşağı atlar ve düşmanı yere indirir.
I'm gonna go with the A again. Squeaky jumps down from the window and kills the enemy.
I am going to respond A. Squeaky jumps down from the window and kills the enemy.
Bu yani cidden beklenmedik bir şeydi. Güzel, bayağı güzel bir nade kullanımı. Hani tebrik ediyorum. Diyecek bir şey yok.
That's just good communication from the ends guys. Squeaky has been 1v1 with that guy pretty long, and he's telling his teammates that he's under me. And then the other teammates are like, okay, we're gonna try to nade him out. And Nuki throws a really good nade and knocks him under him, so it's a free kill after that. Well played by ends.
So that's all for today guys. Thanks for watching.
Chat'te bizimle beraber eğlenceye dahil olmayı unutmayın.
And enjoy the PCS 7 Grand Final live streams. See you there.
Joining me is actually one of my old teammates. What's up, Mika?
What's up? Cool.
Now, you're the newest addition to this Ascend squad, a team with a massive German fan base behind it. Is that extra pressure on you coming into a team like that where you know everyone's going to be looking at you?
I think, yeah, there's like a lot of pressure for me, like especially because they were not having a fit for the fourth guy for now. Now it seems like we found the right team and the right players to continue. Yeah.
Probably feels good to be on a team where you know you're in it for the long run.
Yep.
You guys finished 13th yesterday. After two games, you were all the way up to 5th at some point. How big is that for you guys as a team to know that you can actually push up the leaderboard? How big is momentum for you?
It's like, I don't know, we were like tilted from the past week. Yesterday was really bad for us too. But like today we just started off playing like we should and like having our team play. Everything worked out and yeah, it's pretty insane.
Let's hope you can carry it on for the rest of the games. I have a personal question. All right. Who's on your Twilight Fantasy roster and why?
I think it's Mise, Kiliakai. I don't even know right now. And I think Diggory.
If you don't know, it probably hasn't been going that great, right?
No, I wasn't doing it.
Didn't want to pick yourself for fantasy? Didn't want you to jinx yourself?
I was trying, but I was way too expensive. Like all my teammates were like cheap, so I just took Kiliakai.
Nice. All right. I mean, he's been fragging. It's definitely been going well. Thanks for the interview, Mika. I'm going to let you play the rest of your games, and good luck.
Thank you.
Excellent stuff here at PCS 7. Thank you very much, Mika, for joining us for the interview. And we now have ourselves 2 Miramars to round out the day as we've had Ascend. You know what? They've done pretty well, Saga. Pretty well.
Very fair to say. Great assessment of Ascend's day so far. It has gone pretty darn well, and in no small part due to the amount of military zones. Sorry, Toby, we couldn't get the third one, but you know what? 2 on the day, 44 points. 22 points in an average for the first 2 games is certainly no bad way to start things off, and it was much needed as well with their current position at the start of today. 13th place, and they've climbed so far in the standings, but question mark has still just been consistent enough to keep that gap growing, particularly in that final game.
Yeah, not 3 militaries, but something as equally as butt-clenching, which I suppose is a stealther finish when it comes to all of this adventure. It's not easy to really play that out as we take a look at our overall leaderboards.
Yeah, Ascend jumping into 6th there, 136 points. Again, a little bit of distance now. Northern Lights, they're going to be able to put themselves in between 2nd and 3rd, of course, and the rest Polish Power still trying to hold on. Still, this doesn't change much. We need the fellas to do massively here over the next course of the 7 last games. We have 2 more today, obviously. And you're calling what, a military game on Miramar, you said?
Imagine that.
That would be insane. If you call that, we'll do a highlight reel of you calling that, and then just some highlights of the circle shifting.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
what do you think?
exactly, exactly. Just like our boat and just like the car we had in the prior games where, again, production is vastly trolling us. And maybe we'll get more of those excellent takes throughout the day. But with Miramar coming up, of course, I do think the tides will change for teams like Northern Lights, didn't have any points, etc., things like that. I think that they're still excellent at the battleground.
The Miramar curse.
Across the board. Shush you. I'm talking to Saga. Go away, all right? I think they're excellent across the board, and, they're not going to allow those kinds of results probably to have a knock-on effect.
No, but there has been a significant amount of those results so far off the 4 days of games that have been played prior, and the amount of points that they picked up on Miramar during those 4 days is the lowest in the lobby of any of the 16 teams, which is not what you're hoping to see if you're a team that's so used to taking home championships and titles and top 4 placements left, right, and center, really. So it would be great to see a bit of a comeback, a bit of a bounce back for Northern Lights, and a bit of a return to that previous form, like we have seen from On Erangel for them pretty consistently. They picked up a win on our final one of the day, so we know that they're still capable of doing it, even if it was less dominant in terms of the kills, but positionally, they're still playing very, very well.
Also, we have to consider, we have 7 more games to go here, PCS 7. 5 of them are going to be Miramar. We're playing 3 tomorrow as well.
True. It's 5 in a row as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be really, really crazy. And obviously, all the eyes on Northern Lights. If they're able to kind of have a good high morale next couple of games, we know the last day they are usually extremely good at finishing out the very last day.
Yeah, Northern Lights has been strong when they've been able to be on the chase.
Yes.
I think that was the really cool thing that we saw from them this year in particular, when they had to be on the chase when it came to Entropic, really giving them a bit of room for their money. And I think even I recall Batulin saying in some interviews that, that competition then pushes them all the harder.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to see, at least.
I love that motivation, right? Your drive is just even harder. Like, it's been kind of easy the last couple of tournaments. Now we've just been winning and winning.
Yeah.
Now we have some competition. Tropic not here now, and of course, happy to see Question Mark to step up to the case to really give them a run for their money. Still, they are in a really good spot, but it was Northern Lights' own fault. They had a really, really rough day, obviously. Otherwise, they would have been even closer to Question Mark.
What other teams are we looking at here? Saga for Miramar. Who are your eyes on?
Allow me to consult my notes.
Consult the documents.
Well, as we say, of course, things aren't going to matter too much for a lot of the teams that we highlighted coming into this, like win or die, fellas. If Question Mark is still taking home that top spot, and potentially even the second spot as well. So for those teams, it really has to be a huge boost in the points and the performance on the 5 Miramars that we have in a row for them to have a chance to close that gap, particularly when Question Mark, while they started off the day a little bit slower, they still have been picking up scrappy points here and there. And in the previous game that we saw, it went pretty darn well for them overall. It was about a 10-plus point game. 14 points, I believe, actually was the end total, so nothing at all to sniff at. So there's a big gap that still needs closing, and running out of games to close that gap.
How about yourself, Martin, before we go into Miramar? Who else are you looking at?
It's scary because they're in such a good spot right now, Question Mark. It's you're kind of hoping for them to kind of slow down a little bit. You don't really want to run away with it, and then tomorrow it's just going to be who's going to get second or third. You kind of wanted to have open. But definitely hoping to see, a team like Win or Die, fellas, the Woo even, to kind of have a little bit of a comeback and maybe have a run for the money.
Not exactly been, I guess, some of the easiest games for the Woo and Win or Die, as we talk about them, because how many points have they had on the board, really, in these past couple of games? Not too many.
Yeah. Well, we do still have to keep in mind the MEA teams, Stardust, Howl, and Foot Esports. They are really the only ones that still have that possibility of the PGC slot if they can make the push up. They don't necessarily have to overtake Question Mark, but top 3 is still getting further and further away, and even potentially top 2 now might be required to overtake BBL and take the MEA slot. But if Question Mark continues their dominant streak, those are the only other teams who can sneak away a PGC slot at this point. So we need to see big things from them on Miramar as well.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Time to head over to the commentary team for the desert now. We're changing things from the grassy pastures. You looked very shocked there for a moment, Hyde Park.
No,
What was
That's just how eager I am to get into game.
Jeez, yeah, he was really eager. I'd never seen him so hyped. Oh, okay, well, you know what?
That's where the name comes from.
Yeah,
Hype.
Hypoc. All right, let's do it. Hype it up.
Just waiting for the hype.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, they've done it all.
Oh, they did it for us. There we go. That's all we
How
needed.
can I follow that?
I feel like our throws from the desk are just getting better by the game. I'm so excited to see what they're going to be bringing tomorrow.
We see that very differently.
Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe we do. Having said that, one thing that we don't see differently is that we are headed on over to Miramar. At least I hope we don't see this differently. And we got ourselves 2 more games left to play today. The desk talked about not wanting to see, of course, question mark. Just run away with the whole thing today. I'm a little curious to see.
Ой, господи. Так хочется вырубить нахрен эту трансляцию и пойти играть в доту из-за этих вонючих рыганых перерывов. Просто жесть.
Ну, что-то не очень интересно смотреть. Особенно, когда еще клоуняка бесполезный факапится каждую игру.
Вообще жесть. Даже вино не спасает положение. А куда там Пейнс полетел? Умирать? С экзампом сейчас будут за тачку файтиться или что? Ну да, кто первый в тачку. Оба сели в тачку. Экзампл вылез, по-моему. Что они делают там?
Давятся, походу.
Да покажите нам, уроды! На что надеялся Пейнс? Зачем время терял? А, ну, кстати, время, если потянуть, для того, чтобы тиммейты потом... Ну, тут без шансов.
Ну, там как?
I don't want to say massively improving, but it's because the early on performance was so bad. And you know what? I was thinking it when I saw the plane.
Салам алейкум, ветчина.
I was going to be happy because there was a possibility for a military game with that plane.
Я тут тебе изменяю.
It's a rarity. Even just this. I mean, if we go there, that's a whole other story. But even having it in.
У меня тут что-то типа солями или что-то такое.
Очередное ГГ для Артикса.
А чё, поверху уже с кайфом заедут? Я надеюсь, они не поедут через СТР. Чё?
Он поедет в Сайлер за всей командой через секунд 30.
Смотрим.
Dangerous to do so, especially if you're coming in late. So for esports, actually in a position to really command a large slice of this circle 1 in terms of just zone control.
It's as if they've skipped the first 2 levels of how to win the Miramar game, because they're already there. Of course, this one can still go many different directions. But
блин, прикольно лутает.
But you say that though, but on Miramar, it's almost
Чё прикольного?
more of a challenge to really clear your back, right? In terms of for making sure that actually
не выкупил.
threat that's going to come in behind us, just because of the nature of the layout and how many possibilities there are, especially with kind of it gets towards some of these foot heavy zones. How often the teams can just kind of
Тоже не едут. Ой,
да, завтра последний день.
Смотри, куда они едут, кто бы знал.
Смотрим, смотрим.
Интересно, Сайлер знает о том, куда они едут или нет?
Он там один?
Да нет, вроде.
Ну, нам-то не покажут это как.
Again, a team who came off somewhat strong early on. They've never been way up there in the top, but still, they looked pretty good to start things off. Then things started going against them. Kills started hitting trees with his cars.
Бля, ага. Я тоже хотел сказать, как будто ему 40 уже, блин, под 36.
Покажите, Марселек там крашить должен.
Я этого чувака на 10 лет, блядь, старше. На 10 лет! А выглядит, как будто он меня на 10 лет старше. Ну? Ну? Аля? 0 попаданий, пиздец. И ты говоришь, что они нормально стреляют, блин? Я так понимаю, сейчас многие команды СНГ вообще не замотивированы. Просто на ровном месте посыпка. Навей.
Pretty much got what they came for. They get themselves a kill. You'd have to assume they get the flush on the second one as well. Now, example does spot Ruin. That's a free one for him. Takes him down. They're committed to this. I mean, again, Na'Vi need all the kills they can get. So, regardless of whether they're 4 or 2 alive, they need to commit to them. Example slowing things down again. They know they have a knock now. Melman does get flushed, so not too much he can do there. As Lassa now realizing he's right next door.
I think Na'Vi probably just going to try and commit to this fight and put up some consolation points if they can. How desperate to mitigate that, though.
Schofield is trying to wrap around, and that's kind of been the position at which Uber from behind has been trying to defend as best as he could here. Michael also, yeah, Set gets one, has to back off though. Already lost Tixu. A lot of these fights happening early on, and Mexi not in the greatest spot here.
Нет, ты был неправ, кстати.
Considering sending a molly this way, but Mexi will be scooped up, taken to safety.
Uber actually finds Schofield as well. That was the flank play around the side. Lassa is there as well. And remember, they still have Matt across the street. Who could potentially try and back
ошибается, такое ощущение.
Try and assist example up close, and now the double headshot comes through from Lassa again.
Да.
Such a threat to go up against. And Uber, the split second he looks to try and hold off against Matt is when Lassa peeks forward. Smart timing, great timing on his part. And now Uber, well, what do you get from this here?
Lassa looking for the fourth actually in this engagement. Uber, I'm not sure. Did he flip there? Looks like he actually had to bail out at least. So Lassa might be gifted the opportunity. You see actually in the kill feed and in the picture-in-picture. FaZe having some problems in rotation. It was actually Stardust. We were talking about them just a little while ago. And Lassa chomping at the bit.
Ну, Лакза должен умирать, мне кажется. Хотя тут флешка хорошая. Не. Не вывез, братик. Второго надо законтролить тоже. Хорошо! Да куда?
Unlucky there for Uber. Lands some key damage, but Mad able to rely on a tick to get it back up, and we'll get Lazza back on his feet, but Hal lose 2 in the process. Have a scrappy engagement here. But like you said, it was Na'Vi desperate to put something up on the board.
А где Чепок, ты посмотрел?
Это не видно. Лишь карту не показывают.
А зачем? Тебе что, интересно, что ли?
Согласен.
It wouldn't have changed anything actually, in this case anyway.
Karma.
I suppose so.
That's fantasy karma.
I suppose so, but yeah, I mean for Stardust and FaZe, I think it was just the timing really. They both crossed the road at the same time. No one trying to set up an ambush in that one.
Вот едет мотоцикл.
Looking over to the Wu now, seeing how they've been performing so far.
So one that actually still some possibilities here on Miramar as we come through. Been very hot and cold for the Wu.
Yeah.
We've seen them in certain scenarios able to maintain numbers and they're looking...
Блять, Бестелу что, 22 года? Ёб твою мать.
losing one, 5 minutes later
Видите
losing
тоже.
another, and it's just kind of that kind of long, drawn-out process. It's similar to some of the games we've seen from Ascend, right, where it's been a real inability to, you know, make that key decision as part of some of these games. Hoping they can turn it around. I mean, they're still in a decent position, 9th overall, and like I said, we're back in that kind of even a 15-point game really changes things up for them.
Ой, у Чепуха не все слишком комфортно, так скажем. Одна ошибка, и они ошиблись.
Артик сейчас сможет сдохнуть к 100.
Они сейчас кем проебут перед собой?
Ну да, походу. Нет, Лу не поедет.
Фирист умер, скорее всего.
Ну, что-то они слишком долго думают. А почему решили доверить колить Артиксу?
Это кому там еще колить?
Там Фейт всю жизнь колил, чё?
Фейт с НЛТ, походу, еще будет.
Сейчас Артик взорвется от Лу. Ну вот, слушай, Лу-то умер, походу.
There's gonna be no help coming through, Luke. You're on your own. Can you get away from me? Oh, Fate spots him over the rich line too. That should, if not seal the deal, then at least give the info to Exalt of exactly where he's positioned.
Почему они не вышли его убивать? Вот почему?
It's another one of those concerning positions that we see Northern Lights in very early on in the game. This is obviously a curveball circle, but very split focus.
Ну-ки еще и спер.
Split on the side of the circle where they have to anticipate the majority of teams coming through from.
As the crow flies getting into this circle.
Exactly. That's bit of a head scratcher.
Предикты на игру у тебя.
Для кого предикты на игру?
По зоне.
А, да я зоны не видел, я не посмотрел особо.
Плюс-минус вот эта вот бетонка над ними в центре. Чуть ниже, нет. Центр это правее церкви рельеф.
Ну, короче, как увижу, я дам предикт. Так мне сложно сориентироваться.
Почему аутсайдерам не интересно играть? Призовые все команды получают, по-моему. Арти сказал мне. Так что у каждого есть стремление занять позицию повыше. Тебя осталось не слышать, да? Походу нет.
Again, another situation actually. Look where Goose and Extance are. If this engagement comes through, best of luck lying in wait. He got himself a couple of audio cues here. Kill you, Kai. You got to be.
Ой-ой-ой.
Zok are the one to try and open up.
Какие они пуси.
It's another situation that another team you throw in the mix of these sorts of discussions, right? It's Ascend kind of doing 4 different things here.
Гидрокс решил постоять. Ну, у Арти все нормально, надо зону закрывать, и дальше можно двигаться по рельефу. Вопрос в том, что будут делать NLT втроем. Перфект пошел под иксов, или он там за тачкой пошел за своей, а Батут поехал на заправку. Наверное, NLT все туда должны ехать, нет? Потому что вины оттуда сейчас уедут. Хороший Растанбар. Ой, вот это он нормально заевейдил, кстати. Но сейчас зато тиммейты это... Ой, как неожиданно для Фила будет.
Неожиданно и приятно.
Driving further forward, and of course Rustinma takes a point away from me. So thank you, Rustinma. How kind of you.
That's all the way from the top of the church tower. We just saw him. Oh my god. Don't look up.
And you'd think if you were in a church, that's the only place you would be looking. There you go. That's a surprise for you. Miracle probably going...
Ну это как бы на самом деле легкой кровью отделались.
You didn't scout the roofs? What's going on here? What's going on here, buddy? Ain't he happy to get a freebie on that one? Of course, Rustinman now well aware that he's got threats nearby that also tick so early as well. So a tough game for fellas here. Just
Арти без потерь. Арти скатился до 13-й строчки в турнирной таблице. Куэмы продолжают удерживать первую строчку. Лишь бы они в последний день не перебздели. А то там молодежь играет.
Поехали.
Стакаться? Бетонку, видимо.
Джимс чуть-чуть не успел.
Там иксам в спину кто-то заехал. ЛНТ по низу поехали.
Ascend actually opting to wrap all the way to Azar. Now they were further west than Northern Lights and Austrian Force. We know after that pull up to the.
Эйсы хорошо приехали на самом деле.
Да, такого у холлов углы хорошие тоже. Если не обосраться по стрельбе, то можно в ноль спокойно эйсов закрывать.
Сейчас спалится, и его взорвут. НЛТ дай. Поехали вроде как хорошо, но не на баге.
Они поживут тут в ямах еще.
That Ascend can do to defend him there.
No possibility to actually find any damage onto Lazar to force him off that angle either. So it actually presents itself as a 2v2 now between Ascend and
У иксов ног.
if Ascend want to try and find a
Артикс доедает Пейнза.
I'm not even sure if the Mad's positioning is noted. Now it definitely will be. Chris going to open up onto that with the SLR, but nothing landing just yet. Lazar actually hopping in the vehicle, happy to take these consolation points. Try and dip away and find something else towards the circle.
You'd have to imagine with the audio cues now being fed across that the cars are leaving, that Ascent just gets into their cars of their own and tries to make a place for the circle, but where do you go in this one? It's going to be a hard one to play coming in from the east, because there's really not a whole lot to make use of. How taking the little that's left up towards the ridge line there, and other than that, I mean, they even see the cars here too, so they've got to be worried that there could potentially be threats nearby.
Yeah, Michael's going to have some issues on the way in here. Vehicle already smoking, taking a ton of damage, but Apocalypse can't actually confirm anything to Michael. Still outside the zone, Rustamar has a deeper position along this ridge side.
Ну, у иксов целый один фраг. Мощно.
Remaining players from Ascent trying to deny this three-man vehicle from question mark to get into the circle. Somehow, still driving, barely even.
Ой-ой-ой-ой, они что, встать решили? Какая ошибка!
Will more be found? Not initially, and they do still have a doozy further down towards the east side edge of the circle. He's going to be backfilling in this.
Chris,
yep,
yeah.
Yep.
Definitely in a position to punish this.
Арти в ноке.
Vehicle, okay, break line of sight just in time, but a doozy able to relay this information. Not going to open up here. Wants to be in a position to actually punish Brexco or Chris of where he repositions to. Yeah, going to be none the wiser.
Хорошо. Это было хорошо.
For Chris. Gotta keep in mind his phase 4 as well, so he had to keep on moving forward. It kind of played in his favor that Chris actually started moving, because if Brexco had been up there too, there could have been a doozy.
Это у Артикса происходит.
Я думаю, что они все еще сидят в кемпе, наверное. Хотя, может быть, под бетонки... Нет. С кем они там? С АФами постоянно там ноки были?
С винами. С винами, с АФами, с ликвидами. Со всеми подряд.
Но финны их с бетонки нокают, это как бы окей.
I mean, a couple of meds here for Brexco still to slow question mark down, but you can see Hobbit's reposition actually has him inside the zone now, and Brexco just has nothing to his left.
Yeah.
Футболисты посыпка.
Running for the circle and trying to win out of this one, it's not
there
gonna
is
happen.
Nothing for him.
There really isn't. Open fields to the west across
Всем
the street.
здорово.
Have to imagine he goes down a few seconds from now. In the meantime, the Woo taking the fight to Foot Esports is just Odin left alive. I say that Eyebrow is up, but that should be a double, right? At least one.
Мужички, лайки ваши драгоценные поставим.
Say it should have caught Odin. The second definitely should have, but able to mitigate some of that damage by proning. Odin now looking to reaggress on the back of that, as I think there's actually some pressure coming in from Northern Lights towards the wall.
Эксы, походу, также в кемпе, либо у Крилев подъехали, я не знаю, по крайней мере, потому как их там на карте показывает. Молодость в ноке, Экс в ноке, о, Фейт. С разных сторон их расстреливают, видимо, они вышли с кемпа реально в рельеф. Не доедают, значит, подымутся. Ну, типа, здесь зона прокает, они не показывают. Это просто жесть. Это жесть просто. Но они за зоной сейчас, это точно. Куда они поедут, хер знает. Спайра 1 хп, тупо 1 хп. Взорвался, походу. А, это флешка. Хорошо! Хорошая хае. Отлично просто от Спайра. Эксы разрезались. Молодость в ноке, Фейт в ноке, Артикс в ноке. Один феерист на ногах. Молодость доели. Феерист нокает Лайоша и кончились эксы. Ой, бля, один килл. И нам ни разу не показали, что происходило у них. Спасибо, спасибо большое.
Быть может, это к лучшему? Мы отлично подъехали и выбили позицию себе в угол. Они сейчас одни с края со своего, плюс у них вполне играбельно там.
Force anybody away from this position. Did a pretty good job of it initially, but Aduzi now getting curious over this direction.
По твоему мнению, разраба когда-нибудь сделают, чтобы нокнутый оставался в машине? Или вряд ли? И как тебе кажется, это же норм, чтобы не выпадал? Ну, с одной стороны, вообще, это логично, чтобы человек, которого нокнули, из тачки не выпадал. Но как его ревайвить-то тогда?
Да нет, по идее, должен выпадать.
Ну, типа,
это же типа смерть.
С точки зрения реализма, ну, это не смерть. Это типа ты вырублен. Но я думаю, что такого не сделают. Точно.
Or little rocks that are left here on the map, no doubt. Cronio finds Sparrow. That's one more down. Squeaky now going for the final. That's going to be actually 3 kills going in the way of ends. Just a second. Misa finds 2 with the nade. Squeaky finds extends 2 teams out.
Слушай, а чё инсы-то там разыгрались нафиг? 12 фрагов наколотили. Ты посмотри на них.
Они в центре зоны сидели.
Я только что смотрел на коэмов, было 200 поинтов, уже 206, ё-моё. За плейсмент насыпало. И кого-то убили, походу. Ну, слушай, выглядит как победа для коэмов. На самом деле.
ППшек тоже 4.
Но позиционка у коэмов лучше. С учетом того, что инцы будут драться с ППшками, а коэмов никто не напрягает. А что?
Инцы пойдут под коэмов направо, скорее.
Они не могут это делать, их будут ППшки видеть.
to imagine that they cannot give up the south side. Just wait that extra 1 minute until the circle's closed all the way and denying opportunity for anyone to wrap all the way around that side. Same thing actually up towards the north. They should really be maintaining, in my opinion, the wide kind of contained split position to play full control in this.
Let's see if Ents are wise too. I think question mark probably feeling as if the easier of the two engagements definitely is Ents.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine, but if Polish Power continue to do what they're doing right now, I mean, wrap further north around, there is a
well, they've got themselves to where Doozy was,
control.
And we saw what those sight lines look like.
Yep. So maybe, I mean, if Ents think better, Nuki
Nuki исполняет какую-то дичь.
Yeah, he's going for a massive flank here.
He's not going to get in. Yeah.
He's not. He's going down. Norkis does as well. Not sure what's.
Плюс фраг для КОЭМов.
Me missing for a moment there, but Nuki miles out into the blue. It's gonna fall down. Dante.
ППшки из-за того, что их зона выдавила, так изменили свою позиционку, что действительно сейчас они, ну, не будут с дистанциями пересекаться. Хотя вот они накидывают, все равно видят. А Доус очень хорошо крутит. Ну, шкаф помер. Плюс еще 2 килла для КОЭМов. Ну и все, дальше преимущество в позиционке у КОЭМов. Им сейчас надо закрыть одного сквики, и все.
Polish Power though. Question mark Polish Power. It's been them two fighting for first and second multiple games now here in the end game.
But now that they've dealt with Ents, at least brought it down to just Squeaky, they know that they can actually drift back to the south.
Yes.
Peel away from some of these angles, give some space up to Polish Power whilst they still deal with Ents. Actually a 12-kill game for them. Stark contrast to what we've seen previously.
Ну, Сквики очень много внимания на себя сейчас забирает. Типа, это очень плохо для КОЭМ. А, все, его спалили ПП. Это хорошо.
Still not wanting to overpeak it. They know that if they go for the kill actively, they're also going to be exposed to Polish Power.
Yeah, I think at this point as well, Schmark have in the back of their minds, they do want to keep this as clean as possible as a 4v4. This is oh, your mind's back to actually how Overpeaker's just giving it the old college try.
I like that question mark, don't overextend on this. I mean, there's still one more circle to play. If it goes south, you know the Polish Power has to make a run for it in the open. Because look at this, what Marcelik is staring at right now.
Марселек ошибается, мне кажется.
You have got to count, like, put your money on question mark.
The whole time, question mark have kind of governed the correct side of the zone, right? And it's just too big to control. You can't really spread out amongst this.
Они еще столько ресурсов на сквики потратили. Столько хаера скидали, блин.
Сейчас от зоны зависит еще тоже.
Я думаю, на КОЭМов будет. Вот сейчас у ППшек... Да хотя у КОЭМов тоже, просто они будут в одной точке стоять, как ППшки. Это не очень хорошо. Сквики должен умирать сейчас. Вот когда Сквики сдохнет, тогда ППшек уже КОЭМы начнут напрягать.
Where this is going to close out, and they're going to be in a very similar position in terms of timing in the come phase 9.
We just saw 4 spare bullets for Cabby, 7 spare bullets for Marcelik. Not a lot to work with. I know there's only so many opponents left in the game, but still, if this prolongs in any way, shape, or form, that could easily become the deciding factor in who wins this game.
Yeah, we'll just see actually how it lies for once this kind of reverts towards close combat in the end game.
Все, Марселек его убивает. Ну и вот. А, Хоббит убил, отлично. И ППшки пошли вперед, смотри-ка. Прям крутят под них. И это уже опасно. Они занимают уже центр, нет? Не крутят, что ли? Ну да, Капи пошел. И довольно-таки хорошо пошел, по нему нет инфы. Кроникс за ним идет, не? Хоббит вроде как контролит лево.
Well aware that he hit a good shot there. It's got a lob and 8 to follow. Still got 3 mollies to work with. 2. That is a problem. Dante wants to go for the early, for the fast rest. Not gonna happen. Denied in doing so. Second one. Third one should be the down of Aduzi. And now.
Вот у ППшек ресурсов еще очень много, а вот у КМов почти нету. А Доузи подняли? О, отлично. Сейчас снова взорвут, нет? Отбегать надо дальше. Ну, тут уже преимущество у ПП, да. Скорее всего, тут КМом не выиграть.
To work with. They have to come down the hillside. Usually we say high ground is the advantage spot, but in this case, not quite so. Marselik finds Philfest. More players are to fall in a moment's time. Dante peeks on over. Cappy again, nice off angle on the left-hand side.
Cappy actually going to find Hobbits as well. So just Aduzi and Dante left to find. There's still more utility to use for Polish Power.
Yep, one more force, 1v4. Such a slow approach to this one. Smart play coming through.
Ну, в любом случае, хорошая игра для КМ. Они настреляли неплохо. Чатик, перед уходом лайк не забудьте поставить.
There's no threat there. Like I said, that ridge is just an absolute defensive line through the zone.
Also, I mean, they're not coming through. That allows them to reposition, knowing that Danto is hard committing to it. So smart plays, regardless, knowing exactly what to do at the exact right time. Back to the desk we go for one more game of Miramar Live to Play.
An excellently executed 4v4 by Polish Power here to
Ну,
get
я так понимаю,
up against question mark. The lobby leaders,
КМ уже закрепились в топ-2.
Нет, я думаю, за 5 игр там много еще может что перевернуть. Если они перестанут играть, допустим, в завтрашний день.
Да что, ну, допустим, они 10 поинтов набирают. У них отрыв от третьего, сколько там, 50?
Но я бы не был на столь уверен, как ты. 6 игр еще все-таки. 6. Сейчас же еще, это же не последняя была? Или последняя? Все, что ли? Это ж первый? Ну, это первый Мирамар или второй уже? Это ж первый Мирамар был, ты чё? Сейчас еще одна игра. Да, завтра последний день, наконец-то.
We still have question mark being an absolute thorn in everyone's side. But I really shouldn't even phrase it like that, to be perfectly honest, because they are playing absolutely excellent PUBG right now, and they should be commended for it constantly here. They're finding themselves in the final moments. Even their approach to this game as a whole wasn't easy, I think, Saga. They're coming in on that east side and taking fights and getting themselves to another final circle.
No, it really has been a bit of a rough road to get here, but now that they've completed their journey, it seems that they're just nestled in at the top, and themselves, Northern Lights and Fellas are really separating themselves apart from the pack this week as well. Just far clear on the top of the lobby in terms of the points they've gathered, placement points in particular. All three of those teams were pushing 40 placement points for the week alone prior to this game. The next highest team is on 20 or so, so consistently making those late game stages over and over, time and time again, and for those teams, it's exactly what they need to round out what has been a very solid event.
Well, let's hear from the wild man himself in Marselek, going up against question mark here in these final moments.
Question mark, really edge team, really good team right now. It's
Твой любимый игрок.
Strongest opponent, I feel like. They're doing really good, they're playing consistent. And we really respect the boys doing what they do, because I feel like both of us, the underdogs from the qualifiers.
Underdogs from the qualifiers, but rocking the lobby to the extreme. Both of these teams here find themselves in a 4v4. Both of them, we saw quite a few smokes coming out from Question Mark to try and make this happen, but it was not enough, Martin, to be able to make it work for Question Mark.
Yeah, and the utility that they're able to put down here, especially Kapi, some of the knocks we're seeing Kapi onto her beats, and also they're containing them inside this soft cover here on this high ground that they eventually have to come off of. Kapi with another amazing spray, obviously. And they're saving, you know, 2 or 3, 4 nades that they're able to save for this moment here. When they're pinched into this small area and space, will just mean that they're going to be able to close this out quite easily.
Definitely 1900 damage coming in from Polish Power. I will say there is slight terrain advantage to an extent, but that's because Polish Power kind of put themselves in that spot here, Saga. It did feel like Question Mark being a little bit corralled towards where they were kind of bunched up at that point, so Polish Power had great angles against them.
And this is what I mean when they say it's not difficult to do that against the Question Mark. Again, the Wu tried to do something very similar, which backfired quite heavily. They were completely swept out. Ascend tried to, you know, mess with the Question Mark rotation earlier on and completely got wiped out as well. But, you know, in the end, Polish Power is the team that is able to do so. And it's the peaks that came through, the clean angles, the clean headshots, and Marcelek in classic Polish Power fashion, not happy to sit back on the low ground, wait for the peaks to come through, but getting active, getting aggressive in the zone, and just pushing that final nail into the coffin. Yeah,
very nice here, because Cape as well as Dante coming on in, but we even saw quite a few, you know, eliminations and kills coming in from Ents during all of this, as we take a look back at Cappy being the highlight player, and rightfully so, Martin. I think he's been able to put up some stellar performances all tournament long so far.
Yeah, even though he didn't look that happy on his picture there, he's definitely going to be happy after this player focus on him, and also obviously them closing out this game. And in general, with the way that the circles was against them, Polish Power had to constantly move from the northwestern side. Ents had a high ground, good positioning, pressure, and until the very late game, Question Mark had high ground advantage, being able to pressure them. That's also why we didn't see more kills for them. They had 5 going into the late game.
That's right, the bombardment coming in from Cappy towards the end as well, to be able to round things out against Question Mark. Again, one of the big contenders for PCS 7 Europe at the moment, as they currently sit in first place. But let's head over to Martin for a little bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, I want to point out here and commend a little bit Question Mark, how well they're able to play for this game here. We obviously had a northeastern circle as we were asking for. We got close to military there, James, but we didn't end just up there in general. And as you see here, Question Mark, they actually landed outside on the western side of the circle as Polish Power and Ents had a really good position. We're going to see Question Mark moving in a really northern rotation later here in the game, and obviously play extremely well. The way that they're able to move, the amount of movement that they have to do is really, really impressive. You see here on the northern side, they're moving in northeast. They're taking really good spots throughout the whole game. Ents, really good circle here. I was actually hoping to see a little bit more from them. They had this high ground, they're able to take this, but again, Question Mark, they continue to move better and better and further into the circles here. Super well played by them. Let's go in here to the late game. As I was talking about, this high ground advantage, they're able to spread out 2 and 2, and then kind of maintain and contain both Ents and Polish Power in their spot, forces them to fight against each other, and then being able to isolate that fight with Ents, which then, of course, when they have to come off this high ground, they know to have more utility, and that ended up being Polish Power's advantage, having that kind of low ground, spread out cover, which ended up giving them the win.
I think all importantly, thank you very much for that, Avenger, it was for a Question Mark whilst we were watching them, and you and I, Saga, were talking about it whilst it was going on. Their 2-2 push across the road against the Wu and the clean nature of that fight that they took was absolutely instrumental for them to be able to even seize control of that area, never mind anything else. So the fact that they're able to do this is just absolutely amazing.
We have to go back to it once again, the linchpin for the so many times that they're able to find success in these fights. A doozy. Hate
God at the moment.
You know, Toby, it doesn't matter he was using the SKS, stop it. But the fact that he's able to get into those positions where he can find players who are looking at off angles. He did it against Ascend. He actually did it incredibly well against Ascend as well. He came in later than the rest of the team on the rotation, left his car behind, pushed on foot, and it actually baited the reposition, the maneuver from It's Chris to try and find an angle onto the rest of his team, and he simply sat, waited, found the headshot, and did this very same thing again later in the game to open the path for Question Mark. So having that little sneaky position really paying off for them.
Crazy stuff at the moment. Question Mark operating on another level, but it will be Polish Power winning out this Miramar for now, pushing them ever closer to trying to challenge Question Mark at the very top. Thank you, guys. We're going to a short break. When we return, we have one more Miramar for today. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PCS 7 Europe Grand Finals. We find ourselves in the midst of all the action, and you too can find yourself in the midst of going really fast because you can check out the McLaren GT in-game that is currently still available. My two lovely assistants will present it to you here in its beautiful, technically papaya orange, which is their official naming of the thing. However, in the game it is different orange subset of all of that. That's the shimmering one, the sunrise, correct?
Yes.
You have that one? No,
Not yet.
you don't.
That's the
still have
last one I want.
Avenger, come on, man.
Yes.
You had like 2
I've been
days.
here.
No. You went home and then came back. You could have done it then. Anyway,
true.
it doesn't matter. That's not against the point. We have ourselves the McLaren. It's awesome. You should get it in game. Turn all of those coupes into awesome cars. Saga, don't you have fun doing that? I have fun doing that.
I really like the unicorn skin for the bike.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Fastface does too. It must be something with the orange beard.
Yeah, I suppose so.
We haven't got adverts for that, so I can shield McLaren.
Yeah, damn right. They're good. Yeah, it's sick. It's awesome. All right, we got a few more moments before we get into this game. Avenger, the final game of Miramar. What are you thinking?
Well, first I'm going to be thinking about the total leaderboard where we have question mark going into 211 points. That is insane. 38 points ahead of Polish Power here. It is looking quite dire for the rest of the lobby, I would say at this point.
A little bit, yeah, just a little. That's actually, well, that is actually a heavier lead than we normally see a Northern Lights.
Yes.
Even an Entropic when they were having a ridiculous situation, but actually that was quite a heavy lead, but then people kind of caught up a little bit. But that is an extreme lead here. Very impressive stuff, Saga.
It has really been consistently growing, which is the problem. Like it's one thing to maintain a lead at the top when it's this level of competition, that level of dominance, but to continue growing that lead and it's not even like Northern Lights, Polish Power haven't been showing up and haven't been performing. They've been the teams that have been contesting for top spots, but Question Mark just still continues to find the edge, whereas teams like Overpeakers, FaZe Clan, Win or Die, who are chasing those top spots, things have been pretty mid so far from them. Haven't really been able to catch up.
And on top of that here, Question Mark, they have 36 points now with 1 game to go. They had 36 points in day 1 as well. So now they're still putting on top of their average, obviously looking good, and they still have not had a bad day yet. So even if it's tomorrow, they are so far ahead of their closest contestant, which is Fellas, 51 points. We're talking about Fellas having a record-breaking day tomorrow. Would still maybe not be enough for them to get first spot to get their PGC spot.
Kind of crazy. Thank you very much, gentlemen. One more game for today, heading over to Miramar. Toby and Hypoc to bring us it. It's a little bit unprecedented what Question Mark's doing right now. It's a very strong lead.
It's wild to watch. We knew that the good games from Question Mark would usually come off of those lesser games, so to speak, but seeing them not only have good games, but do it so consistently up in the top. Usually you have your phenomenal performances, then you kind of go low down, and then have your bad games. They've just been up there the whole way through.
Yeah, and even the negative from the previous game, right? The fact that they don't win, it's the fact that actually they've accrued so many kill points that even though Polish Power take it, it's null and void, right? It does nothing to that gap almost.
No, their good games tend to look amazing because their bad games are pretty horrendous. Question Mark, that is, but there just haven't been any of those. Like, terrible. We can maybe find 1 or 2 between the 25 games we've had so far. And that's just unheard of.
В общем, надежды уже никакой. Пора переобуваться и болеть за другую команду. Ха-ха-ха-ха.
Difficult for some of the teams to get themselves up towards the north side. Actually, any further than San Martin going to feel like a bit of a stretch.
Че, Скуп, как тебе это великолепие от команды X? Как тебе сегодняшний игровой день? Скуп, походу, ничего не пришел в себя. Здравствуй, КТ.
I can put it this way. I know where I want the circle to go. I'm not going to say anything, but that would be the crown of what has been the, well, start to the first 2 games at least today.
А идти тебе открывать Искари зачем? Не понял. У тебя праздник какой-то или что? О, нижняя зона. Ну, неплохо. Смотрим на исполнение. Как Чепух себя покажет. О, Адос топ дэмэдж вышел. 43 фрага у него. Неплохо.
One of the things that's interesting to me is usually when we have these hard center southern circles, we tend to not have that many teams on the west side early on. This time around, there's going to be a lot of teams with that opportunity to full speed send it down towards Veldenman, come in the southern kind of scenic route along the shoreline there. So,
Чепух на скубе, походу, срать сел на горшок или чё?
Не, я сплю просто.
Спишь просто?
Да катки дерьма, я не знаю, нахрена я это смотрю.
Последний-то день уж надо будет посмотреть точно. Последний-то день хотя бы интрига будет, интересно.
Вау, это интереснее смотреть. Ой, эти как его, скримы.
А кто скримы стримит? Мне кажется, Данте сейчас умрет. Или он вот даже в прицел сейчас входил, как будто ждет кого-то. А, ну он слышит, знает. Должен слышать ведь. Ой. А, ну ладно. Видел же руку. Ладно, коэмы подъезжают. Слава яйкам, блять, хоть у одной команды есть реакция на то, что твоего тиммейта сейчас могут убить. Только что-то слишком широко как-то. А, они хотят забрать просто Данте и уехать, наверное, да? И сейчас Васка рванет. Не, не рванет. Хоббит прикрывал, стоял.
Не, ну, Нави, конечно, на 15-м это печальненько видеть.
Почему-то про инсов ты говоришь, что они в дисбанд, а про Нави не говоришь.
Так Нави-то до этого трахали все, что двигается.
Ну и чё он? Данте, тут, блядь, нельзя кроуджампить, по-моему. Или тут можно, слева нельзя.
Можно везде, и там, и там.
Нет. Да. В одно окно нельзя, они там высоко.
Можно.
Нет.
В оба окна можно. Чё нет, да, спорим?
Спорим.
На чё?
Не на чё. Чё как маленький-то?
Будь так уверен.
Я уверен, что там нельзя в одно окно запрыгивать. Там подоконник высокий где-то.
Что они их вообще не почувствовали.
Ну хоть кто-то на уверенности разбирает команды.
Сколько у них там разница? 40 поинтов, да, где-то?
215 у них сейчас. У поляков 177.
I mean, you know, I did just see Polish Power win a game on Miramar, so it's kind of rude for me to say, but just overall, if they want to get up there or stay up there and take over question mark, they've got to stop them now.
Hard looking to find some opening damage. At least we'll connect with a couple, but nothing to write home about.
Ближайшие, кто могут с глобала подвинуть QM-ов, это вины. У них 140, да?
Now we see them rotating their way on through. So far, so good, sitting in 8th place, but still within. I mean,
да нет, QM 100% уже слот на глобал забрали.
Не знаю.
They won in Patinky Fields. Other than that, it's been fairly hot and cold.
Yeah.
Ликвиды все уже 26-27. Скоро на пенсию, пацаны. Квизи в поме валяется.
Учитывая, что никто новенький не будет появляться в этой игре, могут и подольше поиграть.
Info, get to a good position, and sometimes they've just been caught off by teams that just never expected to be in that position. I think earlier on in the event where teams generally do play a little slower, that kind of does give the advantage towards a team like.
Почему Пио ушел? А я, блять, откуда знаю, чувак? Где я и где Пио? Я корейской сценой вообще не интересуюсь. Здорово, здорово. Я не знаю, откуда... Я Артикса, по-моему, начал чепухом называть. И все, и у нас это как-то понеслось. Все начали это слово употреблять. Откуда оно у меня, я вообще без понятия. Ну, Ву тоже подсдали, вины подсдали, что-то мощно. Перестали играть. Ой, Квизи 2 башки... А, нет, голова тела. Once again reduced to, I mean, we're talking about the number of times that they lose somebody in rotation early on, or they're forced very early on to commit towards trying to salvage games. This is another situation. Best of luck at Nixie.
Что там зона это, кстати? Хотелось бы посмотреть.
Но еще прока не было ведь?
Я даже первую не видел.
Ну, плюс-минус центр под Лос Леоносом, что ли, я уж тоже не помню. Пацаны думают, тут никого, что ли? Тут же машин куча. Ой, хорошо. Прикинь, эта бы хаешка отлетела и Мэл... А, Мэлман далеко очень.
We'll give him the double headshot. Yeah. You can't get the need to. Let's focus on the positives. Yep. Millman peeks on over. Spots Phil Fist. See Example in a car currently trying to full speed send it down here to help out, but Upa and Example are still playing kind of the back end, trying to apply some sort of pressure from behind, but it's just too far away to really have an impact on this. So it looks like Example.
Может, знаешь, почему они плохо играют? То, что на буткемпе им некомфортно.
I mean, you could get an arm. Maybe that'd be more help.
До этого они тоже же играли на буткемпе.
Да? А, не, слушай, я вообще попутал.
Чепухантикс. Ну, кстати, плохо все равно, потому что эта зона на винов уйдет.
Думаешь?
Я думаю, да, туда.
Ну, следующий... А, нет, еще не следующий. Они наоборот вниз спустились зачем-то. Там же потом прок от воды будет. Они думают, что это низ может быть?
Ну, возможно, они думают, что это около эфов будет. Хотя в любом случае...
О, хорошо. Еще колесико бы, колесико. Эх. Ну, это преследователи в спину дышат. Хорошо, что закрыли. Давай-ка ты, давай.
Again, I mean, FaZe been caught in rotation a couple of times today. We saw Diggory go down early in the previous game. Now they lose 2 here. We did talk about a lot of teams having to transition to this one now. The next circle going even further south didn't exactly make things any easier. And FaZe, unfortunately, losing 2 as a result of it. I was almost curious as to where Vard is, but he is over.
Ликвидов самый комфортный сплит, наверное, на карте.
Я что-то не обратил внимания.
Ой! And good supportive decision as well, because of both compounds coverable. Rotations coming through. McLaren. I'm not even gonna do the full-on presentation because I feel like the desk did such a good job with both Saka and Avenger.
Постоянно про Макларен, блин, базарят, как только он всплывет.
The unicorn banner coming up too, but get yourself a McLaren. It's pretty damn cool, and you can get yourself one in the game here as well. Polish power.
Ну слушай, многие верят вниз как будто, потому что я смотрю, что-то чуваки не стесняются ни с зоны смещаться. Example чё хочет? Они знают про верх или что он?
Видимо,
типа дроп хочет щупать или? Так он же сейчас умрет так. Он типа хочет подловить на неожиданности? Ну да, он точно слышал. Но... А, он уже залутал дроп. Ну все, услышали его. Ну, пиздец. Чё, по сейвове нельзя было? Марселек еще вниз уехал. Ну, экзамплу жопа. Марселек ищет экзампла. Ой, хорошо. Это было хорошо, но его поднимут, я думаю, без проблем. Хотя он за синькой и наползет.
Да даже за синькой поднимут.
Да, это низ.
Это шара, что это низ.
И вопрос...
Лодка есть, по идее.
Ну, если у них лодка есть, они сейчас идеально просто займут кем. Просто им надо быстрее соображать, потому что они очень медленно, они до сих пор там что-то бегают. Если они остаются, то остаются. Ну, вот так вот. Артикс уезжает, они решили реально на лодку, что ли?
Да, это самый нормальный вариант.
Но это очень долго. Они должны были быть к этому готовы уже, мне кажется, на проке. Вакханалия сейчас начнется. Ой.
They go solid hold here from Win or Die. One more to deal with Medibe pushing while reloading, trying to make something of a difficult situation. Doesn't get the kill. Actually does manage to get one flush, but they will all fall right off it.
клоуна залетело на винок.
Поэмы отлетают вдвоем.
In the meantime, question mark falling apart too. And that's it now. A little more pressure coming on to Polish Power.
Покажите, пожалуйста, вот пока нет активных действий. Покажите карту, блядь, покажите что-нибудь еще. А. Ликвиды подсуетились. Ну, у эксов не было ноков, окей. Значит, может быть, все хорошо. И если они, допустим, на левый край приедут, то они просто законтролят все, и никто уже к ним не доберется там. Правда, они без фрагов будут, но есть шанс на победу. Да, 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 наш Арти, за него и болеем. За чепухню.
Молик, молик.
Нахер. Вот теперь молик, дай. А, он в зоне, да?
Не, он не в зоне, но он успел.
У экзампла хила нету.
В смысле, экзампл 5 аптек.
А, что-то я... А в смысле, только что 0 все было. И только 9 бинтов. Лол.
Молик.
Может, думает, что не докинет? Да сядь уже в тачку и едь, алкаш, блин. Слава яйкам. Аптеку. Да, Чепух, отлично. Киликай отдал кемп. Эйсы никого по мосту не пустят.
Отлично, только это игра без скиллов, и ее
Ну да.
надо выигрывать, чтобы
Да.
какие-то поинты
Да,
были.
да.
Лакза умер.
Да, завтра последний день, ребят. Последний день. Нави просто каждый файт проигрывают сейчас. Ой, как Растанмар там слева. Ну, кое мы тут посыпка. Ой, хорош хоббит. Подымут еще, наверное. Хотя... Пока пацаны ищут, может быть и подымутся реально. Там еще Фейт помогает. Марселек плывет.
OPG is still 4 alive again. I mean, they want to be the last team to cross. They do not want to be any chance of them getting backstabbed. As I say that, here's best of luck.
He's about to upset someone.
Could only imagine. Could only imagine. But does he take the shot here?
Ну, в любом случае, кое мы 6 фрагов сделали. Даже если они сейчас умрут, это уже, ну, неплохо. Спайро убивает молодость. Нокает пока, конечно. Сейчас нокнутым то, что плавать можно, но это кайф, типа. Вот, ну это странно максимально. Типа, а нок в воде, так это не смерть, да, Скуп? Типа, в машине считается как смерть, а в воде норм. О, Арти, может быть, хорошую хае сейчас даст. Слушай, если сейчас Лу растрахает эксов, я буду просто орать, и я снова запишу ему, я жопу голую сниму ему на видео и запишу нахрен.
Brexco and Mika are actually posted up on the bridge, so it's going to slow down overpeakers, but they're inside the circle. They can sit here and just make sure that nobody else comes in, which is normal nights.
Почему эксы не хотят хотя бы одного еще отправить к Артиксу? Вот мне непонятно это. Чем там позиция лучше? Странная херня. Там в любом случае по берегу играть надо будет. На. Блин, ну вот когда такие зоны, тогда интересно. Вот, ну интересно же смотреть, когда вот такая вакханалия начинается.
Причем смотри, как киллы рассосались по всем командам. Типа.
Ну да.
Такого, что у кого-то 20.
Потому что никто не сидит.
Все друг друга херачат, это все, да?
Пацаны под мост поехали.
Не, ну это ГГ, тут невозможно доехать.
Ну да. Лучше бы фраги иксам отдали, жопошники.
Ну, вообще иксы могут подъесть.
Все, они знают, что Лу один остался. Я надеюсь, они справятся с управлением. А то они постоянно от одного там получают миллиард ноков.
To be the victors there. Only 5 kills, but again, they're the key kills that got them to this point. Obviously, the two coming through from Northern Lights. Now,
вообще можно, ну типа, договориться, пойти убить его там.
Ну там ликвиды и контролят берег. Они не могут.
Если Крис сейчас не спа... А, про него знают.
Он, походу, утонуть хочет. Нет, не хочет.
Should be clear to find this. From out in the middle of the bridge too. Lou just cannot catch a break. He's inside the circle. He's in. I mean, there's. Yeah, that's it.
Ну, у Лу нету тут сейва нигде дальше. А, нет, есть.
Есть дальше, да.
Ну, вот от Клиба вряд ли там сейв.
Солидные мансы так-то.
But then again, there is quite a bit of distance to that shot coming through. I mean, at the point at which he breaks line of sight.
Ой.
Come back with that. Phil first actually going to find Fairest here down on the south side. Where's Fate in this? I mean, they come down to clear out snakes together, and there's just no refrag whatsoever. Oh, actually, if the information was there, but it's a good flash. Fate will finally clean it up. Losing one of the
Ну чепухи вечно так.
hinders their possibilities of sweeping south. Putting some pressure towards ascending the compound. Yeah, you can see Mika currently looking for Bestalog in the water. Does he know that Mexi is down here too? Bestalog is in the water right behind Mexi. This takes me back to 2018. This is what I want to be in all chat. I want to be in all chat now. This takes me back a couple of years of PUBG. It's been a
Молодость в ноке.
Swim off
Ну ты...
in competitive PUBG. So why not do it in the PCS 7 Grand Finals?
Арти сейчас умрет от дипа. А каждый сам за себя играет, я хер знает, типа. Вот по смокам от Фейта в теории же можно зайти к ним в кемп. Это что за хае от Артикса?
Land away from us, and as you said, force him into the water here. This should never have happened. They're pushing us 4 on the west side, and now Fate falls as well.
Ой, хорош чепу.
But they had 3 kills at, I mean 2 kills at the time, pushing in from the west with full control. Now solo player left alive. Should have never come to this. Kurikar trying to open up some angles onto overpeakers. Cent has 2 teams to jump with just 2 points, but look at the team they're fighting right now. Overpeak is sitting right behind them on the leaderboard. This is a massive game.
Но мне кажется, ошибка от Эйсов идти к ликвидам пушить их.
Post a couple of nades blind into this. James must have heard a splash. It definitely heard.
Хоть он по мосту прыгает просто как дома.
This way. We'll find it. James will fall.
Еще один там, мука. Хорошо, хорошо. Давай, 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 сейчас в доту играть пойдем. Ну все, Артиксу надо в кем заходить. Они все туда вышли. Бестолочь еще переживет Артикса, походу. Ну сейчас у Артикса был такой шанс в кем зайти, на самом деле.
Сейчас у Артикса был шанс нокнуть одного, потом нокнуть второго и остаться... Типа более-менее с возможностью пробежки, а сейчас уже нет.
Almost definitely. I mean, unless he reveals himself, but I mean, there are no more pillars for him to hide behind.
which is kind of convenient. But see, he's just tapping through the smoke too, and he gets him with the very last bullet in the chamber. This is I like these endings because they're so rare.
Well, get comfy, because I think this one's going to drag for the final few minutes.
It's going to be the fight for the one extra placement point between Arts and Best Luck. At least,
does Art spot him on this cross?
Oh, that would, I mean, that would be perfect if he actually catches him in the water, because he's looking for him. He knows that there's more than one player, or more than one team left alive for the amount of players left alive in total.
See on the X-ray, Best Luck just out of line of sight. Now going to be distracted by Mika up.
Ну, Артик сейчас умрет. И Бестова топ-2 возьмет. А, ну, слава яйкам. Чепух решил взрываться. О май лорд. Ну что, чатик, посмотрели мы это мучительное действо. Лайк не забудьте поставить. Капец, что-то... Я несколько раз хотел это выключить. Завтра последний день, завтра день будет интересный, так что давайте завтра посмотрим. Днем постараюсь во что-то поиграть. Ну, в пабг, наверное. Все, всем спасибо. Увидимся завтра. Пока-пока. Мы это пережили. Завтра еще будет. Завтра еще 5 игр. Да, также вечером, в то же время, в том же месте. Я жду вас. Подписка на Телеграм, чтобы не пропустить стримы следующие. Давайте.